burnt out and you're tired, and like when I do lives by myself after the live, I'm like trying to step back into reality. Like I don't know how those big guys do it because you're talking about that, and like it's fun to watch them, but I can't help but wonder like what is PokeRev? What is Cool Trainer Ryan? What did these guys do? Like Danny Phantom, like when they walk out of the room after they've opened like hundreds of packs, like what's like how are they feeling? Like where are the stress levels? Like,
They're
and I
drinking tea and
imagine like
honey.
yeah, so 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 back to your original point. We're gonna start at your original point, and then I want you to kind of introduce yourself. But this is kind of
Sure.
like our intro before we get into the conversation. And because the original point was good.
I'm gonna
So
bring up
to
the
your
chat.
original point, like the thing that got me back into it, honestly, and I get roasted for this. I get roasted for this, but exploding noob, what up? Thanks for joining us. I get roasted for this, but when the Logan Paul thing, when he got that Charizard and he got it and he swapped it over to BGS, that was kind of a big deal to me. It wasn't just that I'm not a Logan Paul fan. Like that's like I think he's done a lot. He's gone from this YouTuber to UFC to now doing all kinds of ventures, and I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But what I saw was someone willing to spend the big money to get into this hobby on an impulse, right? Like we know that he hadn't been following this hobby, right? He jumped in this hobby like so many of us in the pandemic, and I didn't see a reason to hate the guy, but just because he jumped into the hobby and people, are like, that's what rose prices. No, there's such a perfect storm of variables that I think rose prices. But it was that influence of like, okay, this is cool now. Like I didn't think like Logan Paul's my hero. He's so cool. I didn't like look up to him in any way, but I saw that someone who was very influential to the masses, who kind of is on top of fads and culture, someone jumped into Pokemon like that. And that was a really big deal. And then came like Leonhardt, PokeRev, Cool Trainer Ryan. Rattle Pokemon was probably the smallest channel that I've started following when I was following those guys because that was at the time I was buying stuff on eBay. I was starting to collect. And I was like, yo, we need people like Rattle to kind of patrol the streets of the Pokemon hobby so that
Mm.
people aren't ripping people off left and right.
No,
And there have been
actually,
some massive scammers out there. So thank God that Rattle's a part of the hobby.
yeah.
But yeah, that was me.
I was just gonna say shout out to Rattle. He actually reached out to me because there was an incident at Card Party. I don't know if you're like aware of it or heard about it. Which we
You
should
talked
talk
about
about.
this. You sent me a message about it.
Yeah. So
If you want to
I
go
would
into that.
sure. So basically, I had a local collector that I know through like one of the local shops. They host trade nights here, and they have like a Discord as well. So I met a lot of cool people through that. That's another thing. I feel like I can go in really deep about the community, especially locally. But yeah, so I had a friend of mine reach out to me and said, "Hey, I had this girl reach out to me about a Team Rocket booster box, and she wants to sell it. Her dad found it in the attic. It's like the typical story. He bought it actually
Not
from Wizard.
typical. Found it
I,
in the attic. That's
no,
not typical. I
it's the
find that
typical. That's what I'm saying. It's the typical Reddit. Hey, I found this. Is it worth anything? Kind of story. Well, anyways, that was the
crazy.
case. And it was a sealed booster box. They had one open where they had most of the packs already kind of I think they pulled like 6 or 7 hollows from it, so they kind of stopped. I think they pulled Charizard. But anyways, she reached out to me via Discord and was like, "Hey, I want this. I want to sell this booster box with my dad, but we're too nervous to sell it online for X amount of reasons," which is understandable. So at the time,
Absolutely.
I was like, "Hey, you should take it to like Collecticon. Bring the booster box to Collecticon. There's a lot of buyers for those types of things. Kind of shop around, do deals in person, cash. You feel safe. Um, that's probably the best way to go." And then I'd say like a month later, this was like March, and a month later, I'm at a local card show, and there's this girl with her dad, and they're selling Team Rocket packs, and like out of her backpack. And I go, "Wait a second, are you the girl from Discord?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm Jake. I'm the one that I was offering you some advice on how to sell that box." So I talked to her and her dad. And at this time, I already been booked for Card Party. Like I was already locked and loaded to go. So I was like, "You should actually take it to Card Party. It's a Pokemon event. A lot of buyers, a lot of big, you know, PokeTubers. Who knows who's going to
Was
be
she
interested?
local to Card Party, or you were convincing her to fly out to Card Party with it?
Yeah, I was convinced. They actually ended up driving because they're here in the Bay Area as well. I'm based in the Bay Area in California.
Okay,
And so they drove out,
nice.
and while I was at Card Party, I got a tap on my shoulder, and she's there with her dad, and they're like, "We're gonna sell the box," and that was Saturday. And then I think Saturday they ended up selling it, but I didn't find out until Sunday from one of the vendors that we ended up having a few conversations with. Seems like a cool dude. Goes by Pokey Hoops on Instagram. I don't know if it's Pokey Hoops anymore with all of the Pokey names getting removed from Instagram. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if
I
you've
think
heard
it has
about that.
something to do with the secondary market. That's a good topic. We're at that. I'm gonna put a pin in that. I
Yeah.
want to talk about what went on with the Instagram stuff, but continue.
Yeah, so they ended up selling it to Pokey Hoops, and they're like part of a group of vendors, and they all pitched in to buy the box. And unfortunately, when they weren't paying attention, someone actually stole the booster box. And the ballroom had no cameras inside the ballroom, and they weren't able to check any kind of footage unless they had a police report, which typically you can't see for X amount of days. So they were at a loss. And so I went ahead and just like through the discords that I'm in, I was like, hey, unfortunate circumstances if you guys come across this specific booster box, because every booster box is different, especially with the wrap. And I know that most likely that booster box is going to get ripped open, packs are going to get sold. But in case that booster box does appear, the wizard stamps are all in a very specific, it's like a QR code. Like there's always a unique identifier about that box, whether it's tears, where it's where the Wizards of the Coast stickers are
I
placed,
would say tears are one of
damage.
the big ones.
Yeah, so I kind of shared the information in Rattle's Discord, and he reached out asking for some information. He made a video on it. I mean, I don't know if, like I said, I think it's long gone. I think it's just an unfortunate event. Um, but they lost out on some
I thought there
money.
was a happy ending to
No,
this.
no,
Oh
but
no!
I hate to I hate to bring up all that about Card Party because like overall that event, like I don't want to blanket it with that because yo Chevels, is it Chevels or how do you pronounce it? Because I always like I know
I
you're in
think
a few of the
Shovels.
Discord. It's Chevels, right?
Yeah,
What's up, man? So anyways, yeah, I don't want to blanket Card Party with like that unfortunate event, like
they're
that
like, we're
whole.
finally making a new event good.
I'm telling you,
Shh.
dude, if you don't make it to the next one, I'm not even going to try to create FOMO, but you're missing out. Like from a community standpoint, it's amazing. Like the people you meet, like the deals to be had, just the overall energy. And a lot of people are very welcoming. People you wouldn't expect. Like I hung out with Zach, Gem at Pokemon Saturday and Sunday. Great guy. Super like he's a like pillar in this hobby and for a lot of reasons. And so, like having him just to like walk around the vendor hall and chat it up was super cool. Mr. Fuji too. Long story short, that Mr. Fuji and Zach, they both like went with me to like check out this Blastoise I was interested in, which is how we had that call that one night on a whim. I know you
Why
were
not
you were at the bar.
tell them that call?
Say that again. You went out for a sec.
Why don't you tell them that call? Because
Yeah.
that was
So
hype. I was like, am I gonna answer this
yeah,
Instagram
let me
call?
grab it. Let me grab it. It's right here. I so I made like I'm a big Blastoise fan for anyone that knows me in any of the
Dude,
discords.
Blastoise is sick. Honestly, I don't give Blastoise and Venusaur enough credit. They're both amazing. Like,
Yeah,
I, Charizard should not be so much more popular than Blastoise and Venusaur. It really shouldn't.
I've been a Blastoise fan since day one. Like I was like gifted a Pokemon Blue when I was like 9 or 10 from an older kid at the school I went to, and I was hooked from there. But anyways, I traded for a big card in my PC. I never pulled a Blastoise as a kid, so it was kind of redemption. But it's a
Dude,
Shadowless
and the big
9.
slap case, dude,
Yeah,
that
this is
thing is
the.
so
Yep.
premium.
Shout out to Simon. That's Phantom Display, and then Min's graded guard. So Min makes the graded guards. But yeah, super cool.
Like, that's such a premium card.
And I don't know
Like,
if you
value
noticed.
aside, it's a mint first edition Blastoise. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
What's crazy is I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but it's a 7.6 cert, meaning that when I picked it up in June, it was graded probably just like 2 or 3 weeks prior. He got it like
So
back
it's
from
a fresh
PSA.
grade.
It's a fresh grade. It's a strong
Okay.
9. Um, but yeah, this is like my biggest piece in my collection personally, and I think it's maybe not value, maybe it is value, but like from like a childhood like nostalgia standpoint, that's like very personal
See,
to me. Never sell it unless I hit a 10.
see, I really want to upgrade my Venusaur and Blastoises 5 and a 6. I want to upgrade those to 9s because honestly, the prices on those right now is so reasonable. It's not even funny. Those are the
Yeah,
first. Those are the. That's the big three, and in a 9, you can get that for cheaper than like the other like Gold Star cards, Shining cards, crystals. Like it's kind of ridiculous to me that the first set that ever released is not going for an absolute premium. Like that Blastoise in a 9, I don't see a $3,000 card. I see like a $7,000 card, eight
it's
thousand dollars.
I
So
got it for 3
I'm
like
very
value.
biased toward
Yeah.
first edition
Value
base.
value wise, it was an interesting deal. I won't go into the specifics, but I traded a lot of stuff and I sold a bunch of stuff at the show literally while the vending hall was closing that Saturday to basically
Just to
cover
make that happen.
just to make that happen. And it was a lot of
So that
shinies.
sounds like it was stressful. It sounds like it was stressful
It was
leading
it
up
was
to the point.
stressful because like I didn't expect to see this there, to be honest. Like this is you don't see this every day, right? Like I mean, it's it's um it's a really cool card from my perspective. I know it's
You really, you
I'm a
really didn't
gen
expect to see like a first edition Grail card like that at Card Party. Would you
I didn't
expect it at
no, I of
Collecticon?
course I would see no, I saw it all. I saw a bunch of crazy stuff at Card Party, stuff that I can't even talk about. Just because the collector is really private. But like seeing this for sale, I was around Saturday on Friday all day and I didn't see this card. And then all of a sudden this random vendor I had not seen all day had this card and he had some other cool cards. He goes by gosh, what is it?
Guys, stop! Quiet!
I gotta check Instagram, but I think it's Cardwood Classics. Shout out to Jeremiah. Jeremiah. He's the one that sold it to me. But yeah, I had to have it. I saw the cert and I was like, this is a must for me. Um, so yeah, I picked it up Saturday and then I called you like while I was like putting it back in the I think it was on Instagram. I called you on FaceTime while you're at the bar. It looked like it was like really looked like it was hyped in there. A lot of lights,
Yeah, it,
loud,
it was
but
it was loud. It was
yeah,
loud, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna take this. Like,
looked like
what
a
what did he
club.
do?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want a blanket card party with like the bads because I went with another buddy of mine that I'm really close with that I actually met in the pandemic through selling on OfferUp. So like probably one of my best friends right now that I actually sold cards to at the like hype of the hype, which is funny because he always says I ran his pockets. But it is what it is. Prices were what they were, and I think I made up for it
Well,
since then.
well, prices were what they were. People can make their own decisions for themselves. Um, and I definitely have a relationship like that here in Charlotte with somebody that sold to me, and probably will likely sell me other grails because they seem to always find the best deals, and they're willing to take those risks of like PayPal goods and services, working off eBay, trusting one another. I am definitely more stressed out about doing that type of stuff, even though I think goods and services is pretty foolproof. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy to like think that you have like actual like best friends that have been populated from a hobby
No,
in
yeah,
the last couple of years. Like it's you don't think you're gonna make a lot of friends as you get older. It's just not a priority. You're surviving. You're paying for things. You're trying to think about your future financially and like making friends. And even
mhm.
continuing this hobby, I bet was is hard for a lot of people, and that's why I honestly feel like there's going to be consolidation in this hobby. Other people are saying the hobby's stronger than ever. I feel that way sometimes when I get some good sales on eBay, and then I get some really bad, like below market sales. And I'm like, okay, what do I don't even know anything anymore. because the 1 week the market's telling me like these cards are still going for premium, even though it just came out. And there's so many of them out there. And the next week it's like, nope, these are going for market or less than
Yeah.
market. Um,
I think one thing is like you should be selling hype, not buying it. Like I've learned, and I've made bad decisions in 2020. A little about me and like my collection like background. I was born in 1990. I grew up with base set. I remember opening base set. I don't remember if it was Shadowless, First Ed, or Unlimited at this time. But I grew up with that set, so I collected a lot of base set, jungle, fossil, and then some Team Rocket when I was a kid. And then Yu-Gi-Oh came out, and then I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh. So I'm pretty sure I sold off or traded all of my Pokemon for Yu-Gi-Oh to play Yu-Gi-Oh. And I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2005, 2006.
Yu-Gi-Oh was big when
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh dropped. I
yeah,
I thought like this thing is gonna be neck and neck with Pokemon or
yeah.
better.
It was
The
hype.
TV show was, which is weird because they're playing card games that the trapping people's souls. There's like a kind of a darkness to Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah,
but it was a little bit more mature than Pokemon, and I think that's why a lot of us kids were like thinking like, I think
yeah,
this is the next thing, and it
yeah.
was kind
Bunch.
of graphic.
It was. It was a bunch of angsty teens getting like out of like being like preteen into teenagers, and like the art style was definitely darker, and it was like I never learned how to play Pokemon. I can honestly say I've never actually sat down and played Pokemon. I played every single video game literally every single one up till probably I don't know. Um, I played some Sword and Shield and some Scarlet and Violet, but not. I barely touched those
Yeah,
games.
it's not the same. The last one
Yeah.
I played that was remotely similar was Heart Gold Soul Silver
Oh,
remake, and that was really
yeah.
good.
Soul Silver is hands down my favorite. That's like 2010, I think. Oh, I was playing the shit out. Sorry, I was playing the hell out of that game. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
Dude, you're all good.
My bad.
You're all good.
But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But oh yeah, so in like I got out of Pokemon as a kid, played Yu-Gi-Oh, and then in 2010, I got back in with another friend of mine, and we were just collecting cards, and then he was like, "I'm gonna collect sets," and I'm like, at first I remember getting back into it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do like a Pokedex entry binder. And I quickly realized that's not the way I want to go. And I started doing sets. So I was doing WotC sets. I was doing base, jungle, fossil, team rocket, gym, heroes challenge, all the Neo sets, into some of the e-reader. I picked up a few e-readers, but that was 2010 to 2012, and I was on like Craigslist buying cards for nothing. Like I remember buying like my shiny Mewtwo for 30, 40 bucks at the time, like
Oh my
crazy
goodness.
prices. Yeah, so it's like it's come a long way. And I remember you had
What happened
chaos.
with that?
Some I actually had up until recently, and then I sold. Um, and then lot of the binder sets, when I got back in 2020, I started getting inching closer. I took better care of those binders. I have them all in Vault-X binders now, just because I prefer them. So like I know I'm big on PSA now. Like you hear me talking, I'm grading cards left and right, but I still have my binder sets, and I understand the appreciation for binder master sets of some sort. I will never do modern binder master sets. That's just absurd in my opinion. Like go for it. You're a
Stressful.
ballsy person and do so. But like
It's
one
stressful.
one one modern thing that I do want to like I guess master set is right now I have all of the trainer galleries, including Cosmic Eclipse through Silver Tempest, and then Crown Zenith. I'm missing a handful, but like that binder looks sick. Like I mean, I'm gonna grab that actually, if you don't mind. Be real quick.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
What's
So
going
each
on,
is.
guys? Thanks for coming out.
Let's see, I'm gonna bring this over. So like this binder actually looks pretty dope. You got Cosmic, you got Brilliant, like you got Astral, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest,
Yeah,
and then
that's
it goes.
basically like the
Yeah.
best cards because the
Yeah.
trainers, alternates,
Yep.
those are some of the best cards right there.
Yeah, that's the stuff I like from modern, especially the alt arts. Like when I got back in it was like I think I want to say like December 2019. Um, I was like picking up some of the rainbows, like nothing crazy. And then, Vivid Voltage came out. Everyone wanted that rainbow Pika. I bought
I
into that.
still
Wish I didn't. I wish I never bought it. I bought it for too much and I sold it for less. Like I said, I made mistakes. And if I could go back, I
that is
think
a
I
rite of passage.
yeah, I think if I would go back, I would have sold everything I had at that time. I really think it would have been the best play for me to sell. Like at the time, like you don't know you're in a bubble until you know you're in a bubble, and there was a lot of things that were in a bubble. I know PK talks about it all the time about first edition EVs and first edition Pikachu's from Jungle going for I can't remember how much he said, but it like an absurd amount.
Yeah,
And I
first
wish,
edition Pikachu. It's
yeah,
hard to go wrong.
yeah, no, I wish I did because I think my collection goals would have been met a lot faster. I would have been able to buy everything back later for much less. But like I try to compare it because it was hard for me specifically, whereas I was buying stuff in 2010 and 2012 for like nothing compared to now, right? So when in 2020 hit, I'm like, oh, these are really expensive. Like, why would I want to let all this go? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? Like, you really didn't know. Um, but people that were consistently in the hobby, and shout out to those people because like you made some like you probably made so much money and were able to buy back or get reach your collection goal so much faster. But yeah, I'm
And they took a
spent
massive risk. They
yeah
took a massive risk. The same as investing in the market. Like this past 2 years, the market's been terrible. But right now, the market's starting to wake up again in terms of the stock market. And so people that have stayed in it and kept, buying a couple shares of stocks that have been dead water, they're going to be very heavily rewarded. And the same thing is going to happen with Pokemon. With both the market and Pokemon, I think it's just sticking with it. Um,
yeah. Kind of
I,
embarrassed
I,
to
I
say.
would honestly be, I think I would honestly be a little bit frustrated, I think is the right word, if I had been collecting since 2010. Because the prices now are just absolutely, they're still absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of things that are extremely overpriced. And I try to
and
like,
it's only worth what you'll pay for it, right? So if the market is not really, really strong, when that person finds a binder or a box of cards in their attic, they're still going to want to get rid of it like they did 10 years ago. It's not going to make a
mhm,
difference.
yeah,
I think what changed the last couple of years is that people finding stuff in their attic. Pokemon has been so popular the last 3 years that I think people were a little bit more aware of it. I really feel like people were a little bit more aware of it and tuning into it and saying, okay, I'm going to put my stuff on eBay and sell this myself rather than just putting it up on Craigslist or Facebook and taking $50 for it.
yeah,
I don't know if you watch I think it's like Kreese Key or something. This guy has
uh-huh.
a YouTube. He buys like garage sale and like Facebook finds from like parents, and sometimes he gets like a tub of cards from like a mom for like
Does he do
50
the yard
bucks.
sales? I think he might do the yard sales, right? Maybe I'm
Yeah,
mixing them
yeah,
up.
that. And it's just I've maybe had like three pickups that were like a lot of cards for nothing,
Hmm.
but stuff like that, it's still out there, but it's extremely rare. And I feel like that's another one of the
Yeah,
things why I'm pursuing YouTube and like growing the channel and being a part of the community is that if I just stick with this for the next couple of years, I'm in it for the long haul. I want to find these cards, but I realize that I have rushing a lot of this stuff the past couple of years, and I need to take a break and relax because it's not going anywhere. It might go up in price, but it's not going anywhere.
yeah,
I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like if I'm not buying anything at all, that I'm completely like disconnected from the market. Like I feel like I have to always be looking at stuff and buying stuff to feel like really entrenched in the hobby. And
yeah,
sometimes it's hard because I'm like, I really want this card. This card will be a huge card crossed off for my collection goals, but at the same time they're like being financially well off is also a really really important thing, and I want to talk about that more on the channel because ultimately if you make good investments now and you're financially savvy now, you can get those cards without feeling like you're forking up every paycheck. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you save and invest that money, the chances are that money will work for you and make buying this stuff easier down the road. Like I think one of my big regrets was draining like my IRA and draining my savings and saying like put this Pokemon investing in Pokemon is going to be so much less risk. It seems like the stuff is only going up, and I still believe it's only going to go up. But I think we're due for like 3 years of stagnation. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I think uh, it's tough. I think prices are still pretty high, and I think everyone should be very cautious about what they buy. I'd become more of a seller if you can, and like I was telling you, like if you really want to reach your collection goals a little faster, and I like people say, oh, like you're a flipper, you're this or that. I think as a collector, you're not just like the collector boy, right? Where you just only buy cards or and not even trade cards. Like you just cards for yourself because you're happy about them. Sure,
It's
but
more
that's
like
not
hoarding.
yeah, that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. It's not the best way to do it financially. And so in I don't know, like it's been like 6 months, maybe more since I started grading. And PK was the person that kind of like he always talks about like if I tell a collector want to try something once, it's to submit their cards to PSA at least once. And I did it, and I kind of made a killing off of it. And I feel like I'm very picky about the raw singles that I pick up. Most of the time I do buy in person. I do eBay, but I'm also that annoying eBay buyer. Dan would hate me because I would be reaching out about like, can I see these cards on a black surface because I want to check the whitening. Whereas you see a lot of eBay listings. One tip, if you see a back of a card against a white background, I would always like post photos of the cards I'm selling on a black background so that you can see the whitening, and that way it sticks out a little bit more. If a card's clean on a black background, great. And then with like alt arts, I'm super careful about the alt arts I buy because a lot of modern like quality for Sword and Shield was actually not as bad as people say if you compare it to Scarlet and Violet. Like Scarlet and Violet quality in English is kind of terrible, and it
Hmm.
really bummed me out because for those that don't know, I've been collecting all of the alt arts, but I've been recently transitioning them into PSA 10. So everything from Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. So I'm transitioning. I don't have every single alt art. I'm close, but PK got you to send cards too. Nice, nice, Shy. Um, yeah, solid dude. His interview with Nat Turner from PSA was sick. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that, Orion, but it's
I barely have time to watch other content. I
you could just
try to be
I don't know if
open
you're in the
minded.
car, just like listen to it. Like
Yeah.
it was informative. Kind of see what kind of person that is. I haven't watched too many other interviews with him, but I was impressed, and I was impressed with how PK handled it. Like he had to have been a little nervous with that one because that's probably his biggest interview yet. Got a lot of attention, but yeah, anyways, with alt arts, I'm very picky because one thing to know is print lines on the back are like some of the things that'll hit you on a nine. And the only way you can really see the print lines on the back of an alt art is if you hit a flashlight on it and kind of look at it at an angle. They're really subtle, but they look almost like really thin cuts that go all the way across the card. And
Yeah.
if a grader sees that, you're auto nining. So I'm really careful about that. But yeah, I really am I'm an advocate now for grading, whether it's through CGC, PSA, or Beckett. Like try it once. I personally only want to grade my cards with PSA. I uh, I don't mind CGC. I actually kind of like the new label. I know that has a lot of drama, and a lot of the new grading scales kind of wonky and was confusing at
I like
first.
the
But
new too. I'm a
yeah,
fan.
I'm a fan because I like
Well, the
neutral.
pristine label. The pristine label is like, oh,
Yeah,
that thing
it
is
actually
nice.
it
That's gonna
looks
age well.
yeah, the mock-up didn't do it justice. And then when I started seeing physical cards, photos of physical cards with it and videos of that new label, it looks a lot better. Um, but yeah, I just like the like especially just the black and white. Like I'm a like you kind of get it's a double-edged sword because I understood that they were going for like the neutral aspect so that like if you look at you'll never see PSA the same after I say this, but a PSA label looks like a medical band that you would wear at the hospital. Like if it, like it's
Yeah,
not it's not the best
quality.
design, but I like PSA because obviously the value's there. I don't know. I don't want to say that they're the most consistent grading company. I don't think any of them are really consistent.
You
Yeah,
never know what you're gonna get.
you
I
never
feel like
know.
you
You
never
never
know
know.
what you're gonna get. And
I
that's
do have to
based off
say,
just looking at my graded cards and looking at the grades and being like,
I don't want to
bro, I don't know
say,
how I bought this card as an 8, but this card is like a 5. Like I see stuff
yeah,
like that, and I'm like, yeah, of course grading would be lucrative because I'm sending a bunch of stuff that I think is gonna hit 5s that I'll just be able to get my money out of it. And instead, if they hit 7s or 8s because of whoever is grading it just doesn't care, then I'm banking on all those cards that I think are a little bit lower value.
yeah.
So
I have to
I
say
need to do
though,
it. I need its time.
I think you should, and I think you mentioned in one of your other videos or lives that you have a buddy that you're going to submit through. I think that's the good way of like barrier of
Yeah, but
entry
I
to
need
do
to
it.
do myself. I need to make a box myself,
Hmm.
print out everything that's listed
Yeah.
in there myself. I need to do all that stuff. I already have an account on PSA. I thought
Okay.
I was going to go down that road.
Do
And
you have
then
a
when I did
membership?
the math, I'm looking at all the prices. I don't. He does. I
Okay.
don't.
Yeah. I think you should get the membership. And how I did it, which I recommend anyone else. Like, I don't know if you're collecting like by yourself or if you have friends that you're collecting with locally, but me and like 6 friends, I was like, hey, I'm gonna start
That's the
grading.
best way to do it.
I'm gonna buy a membership. If you guys all want to pitch in 15, 20 bucks a piece to get a membership, you guys can send me all your cards. Make sure they're prepped. Like, I don't want to have to like put your cards in card savers and do all that. Like, you guys send me your cards ready to go, and I will enter them into the PSA form and submit them and ship them, and we just split the costs. And you pay for each card that you ship. And yeah, this will be the third time we have 122 cards at PSA right now. They are in research and ID. Um, I know today that my Becca submission ship. Nice. Yeah, I have 122 cards at PSA, 34 in the value bulk and 88 in the TCG bulk. So 88 at the 15 declared value, and then 88 at the 19 declared value, or 499 declared value. So
I think it would be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to being able to do that myself because I think it will bring a lot of value into the hobby. I just you can put that money towards more cards and more
hold on.
products.
Before you go there. So think about it. I think I mentioned it in your Discord once, but I kind of broke down the math and how much I paid for raw cards, how much I paid to submit them, and then the money I got back from that after selling. I mean, I was able to cover the cost of the cards I bought and and the PSA submission with just selling 2 cards. And that alone, like that is what was like really clicked in my head. I was like, okay, if I can do this more consistently, and then when I feel like it taps into a different part of the collector when you do it because there's the like I we don't reveal our cards until we get them in person. So we don't know until they're in our hands. And that is like opening packs, right? Like you never know what you're going to get. And that's
You
super
know,
fun.
yeah, yeah. I like that you mentioned that because that is something that I thought about in terms of me in terms of being like a content creator. That's not I put my feet up on the chair. This is more comfortable, but in terms of being a content creator, like that's one of the easiest contents that you can do is like I did a submission. Like people like it doesn't matter who the channel is. Whenever I see PSA submissions, because I've typed it into YouTube just to see like what videos come up. I'm like, wow, there's a really good feedback on this. People are interested in seeing what grades get. And me
Yeah.
personally, one card in my collection that I really well, there's several cards that I really want to see what the grade is going to be, which is why I have to do this. But one of them is the Gold Star Alakazam that I paid $60 for in a collection that was in a box.
Hell
If
yeah.
that card, I have seen nines that really should not be nines. So
Hmm.
if that card, I think it's going to hit an 8, probably deserves a 7. Truly, like truly, it probably deserves a 7. But if that card hits an 8 or a 9, that card came out of someone's shoebox that had been disorganized.
Yeah,
That's kind of scary for me to think about because I wouldn't want to buy a 9 from someone that's like a grail card and pay premium. Like Alakazam, for instance, in a 9 is like a grand. You might be able to get it for 800 or 900, or maybe even less than that. But
what crystal, what is it? Not crystal,
no,
gold star Alakazam.
Gold Star Alakazam. But if I picked that card up and then the guy was like, "Oh, dude, it's also crazy that this card you bought got a 9 because it had just been sitting in a shoebox that I bought from this old lady that had been like sitting under someone's bed." Like that wouldn't sit great with me, knowing that cards that go through that and are in that kind of environment can still hit 9s. So
It
I
happens all the
think it's
time.
just so mainstream.
Yeah,
So, and conversation I had with a buddy here the other day was he was like, "Yo, if your moderns aren't hitting 10s, like something is seriously wrong because you hit a 9 and you're screwed on those modern cards," which I don't really believe. I think if you hit a 9 on the alt arts, you're still gonna break even on any of those today.
unless
Now in
it's
a year,
Umbreon,
you'll
you
probably
still
make
make money
money
on
on.
Umbreon.
Say what?
You still make money on Umbreon even if it's a 9, which is surprising.
What what
Umbreon
what are the
VMAX.
what are the nines, what are the nines going for? 700? They would
I
have
think
to
it's
to
like
make
I
money.
think
But
what are Raws going for? Last I checked, they were like 550, 550
I
for a
paid
Raw.
550 for mine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then I think PSA nines go for like at least 650 to 7. I might be wrong. Chat can correct me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a 9 collector when it comes to vintage. But if it's modern, it's 10 or bust. Like
Yeah.
I'll either crack it or I'll sell it as a, like just it's that's another thing too is like like as a collector, you're like, oh, I have this card, I'll never sell it because like there's like that. I don't know if it's like the risk of never having it again or like the fear of never having it again. And with modern alt arts, I will let those go 10 out of 10 times for vintage nines like that I want, of course. Like I don't know if I mentioned it, but I got the Gold Star Vaporeon in a PSA 9 and I traded for some PSA 10 alt arts that I was like, to me, done deal. I'll get these back. I'll buy some raws and I'll grade them myself to get them again. Like I am not worried. Danny Phantom, he actually just did a video on like the potential like um how many copies there are of every alt art from Sword and Shield, and like the numbers are crazy. Like like the amount of
I don't think there's a comparison to Gold Stars. I actually did
no,
watch
but that's
that.
the I don't know if you watched it, but did you watch the part with the gold stars too? Like the gold stars, there's still quite a bit out there. There's more than you would think. When you go to these
Nine,
shows
nine,
too,
nine, and 10. There is quite a bit out there for sure. But from the limited research I've done, just looking for nines every day, looking at private listings, listening to my friends sending me stuff that other sellers are selling privately. I don't think there's a whole lot of PSA nines. Strictly PSA 9, PSA 10. There are not a lot of those out there.
I mean,
You
yeah,
know.
I guess you could check the
And
pop
then there's
report.
stuff that's been resubbed too and cracked. So those numbers still, even the little bit, the tiny numbers we have, other than the
Yeah,
tens,
you gotta take it with a grain
are
of
probably
salt.
not accurate.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, 100%. Until
Crazy, bro. When you think about that, why are we all not like chasing crystals, shinings, and gold stars? Like, why is that not like the most popular thing in Pokemon right now? The pops are so low. There's such coveted cards, but now there's the Japanese stuff. There's the Poncho Pikachu's. There's all these there's all these other alternative investments. Even the Sun and Moon Altar with the Latios, that being a crazy expensive card. Um, it's
yeah,
it's nuts. I get why there's not full attention to it, but I'm definitely one of those people. And my tight group of like kind of collectors starting to go for those grails. I think we all just want to be able to share that together, despite whatever happens with the market. If people end up like kind of falling off with gold stars, because that could happen. It could just be that we're older, and so we value it more. And there's always going to be a buyer that is our age that getting older that wants those cards too. But for the masses, I am starting to believe, just because I can't even believe there's any gold stars up for listing at all. Like they should just be getting cleaned out. But because they're not, it makes me think that people are just so roped into modern right now. Modern is so much more attainable. It's so much it's so much easier to grade, which is huge. If you want to send cards in, you want to get those high grades, and that's
Yep.
damn near that's gonna be dicey with the WotC era type stuff.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's I should probably add to that. A lot of the stuff that I grade is mostly modern, and I do that because there's less risk. I also want to mention or bring up what Beertick brought up about the cost of the raw. I guess that all depends on what your buy-in was, right? Like if you bought it at 600, I would say you're risking breaking even, losing money. But it all depends on how much you bought it, and then
but
selling it depends on where you're selling. So I I attend a lot of locals. Here in the Bay Area, I got like 7 different shops like nearby, like local shops selling cards, and they do trade nights. 2 of which have pretty popular trade nights. So people aren't just there trading; people are setting up tables, selling their cards. So if you can do cash deals, you're more likely to make money without fees, depending on who's your buyer. But yeah, if you're
we all
selling on eBay and you bought at 600, you're most likely either going to break even or lose money.
Now, on the bright side of that, what I also like that I don't think is talked about enough is just the sheer simplicity of your card is pressed into plastic slabs. It's not going anywhere. It's pretty much protected. No, it's not perfect. No, it's not, environment proof entirely, but slabbed up in a team bag, your card
Now,
is good to go. It's good to go.
let's
You
talk
throw it in
about
briefcase.
nesting.
Dude,
This is in a
I love
slab.
that. I love how you turn something that's so small that takes up so little space into this much bigger, more
Yeah,
grand gesture. I
yeah.
think that's like one of my favorite things about that. I really need to
It,
do that for the Charizard. I really need
yeah.
to get one of the Charizard.
I would never stick it out in where there's a lot of like we get a lot of light in our place, but I wouldn't like it's UV protected in case you were ever wondering. Like you don't have to worry about this getting discolored or whatnot. Yeah, Phantom display. It's done actually by a guy that's based here in the Bay Area. Funny enough, I met him at Card Party. Really cool guy. As soon as I bought this Blastoise, I went straight to graded guard, put it in a graded guard, and then next to that was Phantom, and I was like, I need to throw this in a display. So we chopped it
Damn.
up for a little bit. Yeah, yeah, it's really cool.
I hope something like that is a collecticon because I would love to just go in there and be able to just buy for like my most coveted cards. Particularly, I think I'm gonna end up trading one of the Charizards.
Yeah,
That seems to be the only way I can
if I remember,
financially make the Gold Star Rayquaza happen. And I'm literally I'm hoping that I can go to Collecticon with like 2 or 3 grand in cash and a first edition Charizard, along with a ton of other stuff. I'll bring like a briefcase with me, which is probably not the best idea because it's going to be heavy.
do you have a
But
Pelican?
I don't have a small. All I have is like the big briefcases. So I'm
Yeah,
just gonna have to take like half the cards out so that they're a little bit lighter.
let me show
Um,
you what I have. I have 2 different things that might like. I have one that's for
I
home.
You have the better sized ones. Like every collector needs a smaller size kind of Pelican case.
Yep, exactly that. So this is I recommend this one for anyone that's traveling. This is the Pelican 1300, but the way I set it up, pretty straightforward. I don't have much in here because I have everything else in my bigger case, but 2 rows, you can fill this up with card savers, top loaders, and whatnot. When I have PSA cards in here, it's fine, or card savers, like I usually just take this out. It's just the foam on the top because it presses down on the card savers a little bit. That doesn't happen on my 1500. It's a lot bigger. It has like it can fit up to 4 rows, and they're a lot longer. I only have 2 filled at the moment. Like it's nothing crazy, but and then the 1500 will fit on a carry-on. So it's the largest size you can take on a plane, which is nice if you want to check your bag and you have that to kind of wheel around.
So so are there any and then I want to talk about this Instagram thing. Are there any cards right now that you are focused on or thinking about, or are you right now I feel like right now I'm looking at particular cards, and that's making it easier for me to save my money because I'm like, no, it's all or nothing. Screw this. I'm done buying like random crap. screw this. Like I am waiting for the bigger cards. Like
Yeah.
because I make content from the mail days, but you know what? I just want I want a couple cards that are hard to find, and it makes it easier to save money. Are you
Yeah.
looking for anything like that right now?
Um, right now, I'm kind of just waiting on my slabs to come back from PSA. Like I'm looking at eBay here and there. I'm like there's a few cards that I want, but a lot of the network of people through just like community events, whether that's Card Party or Collecticon, I usually buy through people I know for the most part because a lot of them are vendors and I trust them. Usually we can work out a good deal that works for both of us. But I'm going for right now a few of the gold stars that I want to have the sets of. Like I think you have the trio, the dog trio from was that not Power Keepers? That's the EVs, but
No, it's
it's
right
not
here.
what EX set
Unseen
is that
Forces.
Unseen Forces. Yeah, I'd love to have those in nines too at some point. But I'm going for Jolteon and Flareon next so that I could have the trio. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
so I'm going for
dude, I
those.
really want that too. I think
Yeah,
that's a dope trio, personally.
yeah. I'll
The
wait till I
Vaporeon
see.
you already have, that's the best one of the three, I think.
Yeah, that's funny enough. That's one of my favorite gold stars. So that Mudkip and what else? I mean,
Yeah,
I like
pretty sick.
yeah, Mudkip's one of my favorites. And then if I had to pick a top three, obviously Rayquaza's pretty up there. Rayquaza's never been one of my favorite Pokemon. I think it's a dope card, don't get me wrong, but there you go. Mew. That's another big favorite. Chaos, thank you. Yes.
I think
100%.
the Mewtwo. I think the Mewtwo is fire,
Oh,
honestly.
Mewtwo. Yeah, my buddy just picked up the Japanese one in a 10 at Card Party. Beautiful card. Beautiful card. Um, yeah, and then I'm waiting for those Jolteon and Flareon at Collecticon because I'm going to Long Beach at the end of August. So we'll see what's there. But yeah, I haven't been buying. I've been selling a lot more lately. Just to and up like from a personal side note, I got laid off from my job back in May, so I've been on the job hunt pretty heavily. I have two opportunities kind of lined up right now that are looking promising, so that's been my focus for the last couple of months. Always going to be into Pokemon. It's just been kind of slightly pushed to the side. That's why it's great to
Yeah,
have conversations like this because I love to have to get it out. My girlfriend can listen to it, but she'll get tired of it at some point. She goes to some of the car shows with me too. Like me and my buddy and his partner will come along and they'll do their thing, we'll do ours. But yeah, it's great to have these types of conversations. And like at the shows, man, it's just nonstop like this. Like I lost my voice by the in the card party, man. I'm not kidding. Um, yeah,
yeah. I think a lot of people in this hobby actually struggle with having a relationship while also being in this hobby. I've gotten at least 5 messages asking about my relationship, how I maintain a relationship while buying these expensive cards, and it's definitely a balance. I've kind of promised Diana that I was going to sell off a lot of stuff because moving forward, she's like, I've been okay with you spending money on all this stuff up to this point, but now we're at a point where like if you're going to buy something, you have enough inventory, you have enough stuff that you can sell and let go and make room for the new purchase. I
yeah,
just I'm not in a position where I need that money back necessarily. I
sure,
really want that money back, but I don't necessarily need it. And I have no issue with like hoarding anything, right? I can hold on to stuff for forever. It's just less effort for me to hold on to it and see what happens, and then even be rewarded and make more money for it down the road than
yeah.
having to wait for my money. I will say eBay just updated. I don't know if you saw the new express payment update. I'm so happy about
No,
instant payment within 30 minutes.
oh,
I just got a message today that they are now. I don't know if it's seller based, if it's like once you hit a certain milestone, but I imagine the really big sellers get like if people don't know this, I feel like you get more perks. I don't know,
yeah, sure.
or this was a broad type thing where everybody who's selling on eBay is getting these messages that they're starting to do the express payment. So
Yeah,
that's a pretty big
yeah.
deal.
No, that's a big deal. Yeah, and then I wanted to ask you, when you mean like a loss, do you mean like a potential loss because it could go up, or just like not as much as you'd like to get for it? Because you can't, I don't want to say you, or I guess you don't really want to think about what the possibility of how much money you can make. If you can buy and sell to cover collection goals, I think that's the way to go, just so that you're not dipping into your personal income as much. I'm trying not to do that. I've spent far less out of my income the past couple of months than, or last 6 months, than I have. Like, I was buying a lot. Like, I was with you there. I was buying a lot, but I was trying to be smart with the purchases, and uh, for the most part, I think it's worked out. And with PSA submissions, that's kind of just how I've kind of keep the ball rolling with that kind of thing. And then when I go to these shows, I have a bunch of inventory that I can trade for stuff that I want. So I'm fingers crossed that I get my submission back by the end of August, but I highly doubt it based on how things have been for the past like month or two.
So buying online for anybody who's a new collector, or just currently collecting right now and has been using eBay a lot. I've used eBay a ton. I've gotten accustomed to using eBay. I've gotten addicted to the auctions. There are deals out there, but more often than not, I overpay. I let the competitive nature of it push me to the brink of spending paycheck to paycheck,
Ego
and
bids.
I'm really starting to feel like you just have to take whatever deals you can get locally and get what you get, but because you're gonna get a probably a better deal and be able to make better returns on that stuff. Whereas when I'm buying stuff on eBay, it's almost always that if I sold that same card the next day, I would not be able to break even. I would
Yeah.
lose money on that. That's a crappy feeling. There are very few cards on eBay that you could buy and flip the next day on eBay. It really is. It's a
Yeah.
system, and it's really hard to beat the system.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow James from Z&G Emporium, but his, I think their slogan
Yeah.
is "Never punished." And I
Yep.
think people are slowly but surely, being punished for some of the purchases they made in 2020, or some of the purchases they even made in 2023, if they're not being smart about how they're buying and selling cards. Um, it's a learning curve too. Like, I think there's like the business aspects, but also the negotiations. It's always fun. Every person you do a deal with is gonna have their own way of doing it, and I've found it fun for the most part, especially in person. Not so much on, I don't sell as much on eBay as I'd like to, just because I don't want to lose that much if I can sell in person or just do deals in person, especially if I'm buying. Like, I love to see the cars in person. I'm pretty picky on eBay. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Any advice for people collecting?
Honestly,
Something that you wish you would have done differently, maybe early on.
um, create an identity for yourself. And when I say that, I mean, like, don't necessarily follow the hype. Collect what you actually love, because if you start following the hype, you're gonna go down a slippery slope. You're gonna spend too much money. You're gonna have cards in your collection that you necessarily don't really care for after you've had them for X amount of time. Um, Cards that I go for are usually the cards that, not, I want to say, like I said, I collect alt arts, and that's like super hype right now. Like, that's hype, but I've actually slowed down on that and started pivoting to some of the vintage stuff, because the limelight right now is on modern Japanese and alt arts English, especially Sun and Moon era. I'm not touching any of that right now. Like, I'm not a buyer in that. So if I have any that I'm gonna sell, I'll sell, because it's to me, some of these prices are absurd. If you look at the Latios and Latios prices right now, uh,
Yeah.
it's bonkers. If you're a buyer on
Yeah.
that card, I I don't know, man. You should rethink about buying stuff like that right now. Like, don't FOMO into the stuff that everyone's talking about, because there will always be other opportunities, especially for set cards. If we're talking about like trophy cards, or like, I don't know, like something super limited. Obviously, that's a different scenario, but we're talking about set cards, and Pokemon is printing to the point, like, this is like a new high. Like, Pokemon has never printed this much. And Scarlet and Violet, like, there's a lot of opportunity there. I think on the English side, because prices are low. Um, I typically get my booster boxes. I don't open a lot of anything. Actually, I don't really open packs at all at this point. But I always get
That
one of
to
each.
happen to every collector at some point. That seems to be a mature thing.
Yeah, I get it because it's fun to open packs. And like if I'm doing it with a group of friends that are like, all right, let's all buy a pack and rip it, sure. But I'm not gonna like buy booster boxes to try to hit and get the major hits. Because one, you're most likely not gonna get that card you want. And two, if you do get it, it's either gonna be super wrecked, off center, not gradable, or not really worth much. So it's like to me, I'm just gonna pick up the, especially like the EX alt arts from Sun and or Scarlet and Violet right now are super cheap. Like it's hard to find them in good condition though.
So
So like
good. It's
yeah,
so
there's some
good. I'm
yeah, it's
loving it.
great. It's great. And then the prices on booster boxes, like I said, I get most of my booster boxes for 92 a piece. And I just buy one of each. I put them in a big acrylic box, and that they just sit there. I like sealed. Like I have a few vintage sealed items for my PC, but when it comes to modern, I like to just have one of each booster box. I just like it
Yeah,
in its
I
original form.
I don't know why I feel this way because I've had this conversation over and over again with different people about why WotC will never be a strong, aggressive investment choice with growth to it because it's just and it's always the same argument of there's so much of it printed. The pops are so high on that stuff, but we're seeing high pops with the alt arts now. It doesn't seem to make a difference with pricing. They don't seem to be correlating very much, and so I just think about like what you just said. Collect what you like. I'm thrilled to get like a Blaine's Charizard in a 9. Really,
Yeah,
really, I would rather go for some of that stuff because I have most of my binders finished, but I still want those cards in like really high
high
grades. I
grades.
still want
Yeah,
those cards in high grades.
conditional rarity is super important. I think like especially for the vintage stuff. Like I get like to me buying I would never be a collector of PSA vintage 10s because I think there's the difference between some 9s and 10s can be almost nothing.
Yeah,
I'm still picky about my 9s. Like my friends give me a hard time because I'm like I'm over analyzing vintage 9s or I'm over yeah I'm even over analyzing some of the modern 10s that I grade because I'm just like I don't know how this got a 10. I wouldn't buy this card.
yeah, right.
I'm
You
not a
want a
label
true
buyer.
10.
Yeah, I'm
You
not a
want a
label.
true 10.
Yeah, I'm not a
I can
label
certainly
buyer. There's a lot
understand
of
that.
people in this hobby that are. There's a lot. Most of the people in this hobby who collect graded cards are a label buyer. And if you look at the difference between like a Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles is going to give me a lot of shit for this, but if you look at a 2 cert compared to like a 7 cert of let's say the same card, you will see how the grading scale has changed. That 2 cert's going to look like an 8, whereas the new 9s they're usually a little bit more strict, I would say, with 9s. So I'm very picky about the 9s that I buy. I've seen some pretty, you'd be surprised. I've seen some pretty damaged 9s that I'm like, they either completely missed this or their grading scale has changed quite a lot in the past couple of years. With the influx of grading, like I could only imagine how much went under the radar when all the boom was happening. And, PSA submissions were taking over a year to get back. Um, but yeah, I wanted to go back to like the whole identity thing because I know like some of the coolest collectors are collecting like all of the Ninetales cards or like stuff like that, like stuff cards you've never even seen before, or learning about different variants of like Ninetales with like the Black Flame, Blue Flame, like stuff like that. Like you learn about all of this stuff from meeting other people. Um,
TCA just got the no damage from opening a shadowless deck.
oh,
I don't
did
know
you?
all that. No,
You did?
TCA game did.
Oh, he got a note. Oh, I did see that on his Instagram actually. Oh, nice. That's awesome. I have a friend of mine that he's a Ninetales collector, and it's like one of the last cards he needs. So I'm gonna bug the hell out of old school Pokemon Nick at Long Beach next month to see if he'd sell one to him because I know he has like some of them. I think he has the most created copies of that card. He's like a huge Ninetales fan, specifically the no
Really?
damage. Yeah, old school Nick. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but one of the biggest eBay
Yeah.
sellers. Good guy. Got to hang out with him at Long Beach last year. Um, but yeah, like collection identity because
I have a bunch of nine tails that probably aren't even worth but $20, but like
yeah,
like right now, like I look at my WotC stack and I'm like, screw this. I'm not selling these cards. Like these cards to me are like worth way more than the market is putting them at. Like I think WotC is so undervalued right now. I don't care about the printing, but
yeah, it's a generational thing too. Like I think we grew up with what's how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
28.
Okay, I'm 32, so we're not too far apart. Like it was probably you were collecting base set as a kid, I'd imagine, to some degree. But like,
Yeah, I
j-
know Chaos feels the same way we do. WotC is king. Like
yeah, I think
Chaos is like I have like Chaos over here, like WotC, Grails, and I have my other
yeah.
friend over here that's like, yo, XY, black and white, you need those full arts. And then I have my other friend that's like, sun and moon, sun and moon.
Is
Like,
your XY black and white friend much younger by chance?
no, he's not.
Surprisingly, okay, okay,
He played the game like very actively
okay.
from like 2010 to 2016, and so he really appreciates those eras. And I'm so glad he got me into them because now on my display on the back wall, I've got cards that I never would have had otherwise. I've got the
Yeah,
Fates Collide full art Umbreon and a 9. That card's so nice. I want
I just
tens of
graded
all of
that.
these,
I
but
graded that in a 10. I actually that was one of the cards I sold.
yeah, yeah. You said you got that card for like $20. Like
Yeah, at a local shop.
the Breakpoint Gyarados in a 9, I love that in a 10.
It's a great
Dark
card.
Explorers, Kyogre, and Groudon, those are in 8s. I would love to get those in 9s or
Which
10s.
set has
And
the
then
Alakazam? The one with
that's Fates
Lugia and
Collide.
Umbreon. Fates Collide.
That's Fates Collide for that secret rare. And then the Dragon's Exalted Rayquaza, which I recently thought I was getting an insane deal on a 9. And that card is like not even. It's such a beautiful card. I think I'm just gonna flip my 9 and keep my 8. But like, I was
It's the
so bummed
shiny,
out
right?
when that card had an indention in it
Yeah,
because like that's a sick card, but it's a very niche card.
yeah,
Like no one is looking for Dragon's Exalted Rayquaza full art, but it's
yeah.
such a beautiful card.
Oh, the full
Um,
art. Okay, okay. There's a
yeah,
shiny in that
and
set too, right? The shiny.
yes,
Yeah, it's the one I just
yes,
graded.
yeah.
That was one of the cards my buddy sent in to grade. Cool
The
card.
shiny Rayquaza,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I really want that card in a 9 too.
yeah. It's a
Like
cool one.
I need to calm down, stack up money, and save money because, like, honestly, if you just have 20 grand in the bank, you're generating like $60 to $80 in interest a month off of just having like 20K in the bank liquid. That $80 per month significantly either you could just buy a nice little raw WotC card for $80 once a month, you get a free card, or you can take a chunk off of a nicer card. Like I really feel like there's no way for me to sustainably collect other than flipping this stuff and then saving up money so that I can have money earning me money because it's
Yeah,
because I realize now like I don't want to let go of my stuff. So then like am I really in a position where I should be a seller if it takes a toll on me, if it hurts, if I don't like the experience of letting go of all my stuff? Or should I just focus on like not buying anything other than grails for a really good price and then just saving all my money? I feel
yeah,
like that's where I'm at right now with the hobby.
yeah, yeah. I can understand that. There's always that fear of like, I mean, if you don't feel like you financially need to sell anything, then don't. Like it's totally up to you. Yeah, I like to it's like play money, I guess. Like if I'm gonna put this much amount of money into buying cards, grading cards, let's see how much I can get a return on that or like grow my collection. Which is part of the game of collecting, I think. So I've had fun that way. One thing I also want to mention is like I recommend as much people to you know put themselves out there and like start meeting other collectors. I've met some of the best people I know now because I've just been, engaged in the hobby in that way, locally, and then attending these big events like Collecticon. If you've never been to a Collecticon, I went to my last one last year at Long Beach with a friend of mine, and Had a blast. I only went for that Saturday and I regretted it. I wish I could have stayed both days because we just drove down.
Okay, all right, it's done. I'm doing both days. Everyone keeps
Yeah,
saying the same.
yeah, do it.
Both days
Definitely.
it is.
Yeah, do both days. I'm doing both days this year. And I already have card party like my ticket for that, and I don't even know where that's going to be yet. Apparently, rumor is Texas, somewhere on the East Coast. We'll know probably from Pat in the next couple months. But yeah, if you can attend card party when that gets announced, I highly recommend it. I had a blast, met so many cool people, and you get to see all the drunk stuff happen at night at the bar, at the hotel bar, where they're ripping Hull on Phantom packs and Neo Genesis packs. Like
Oh
I
no.
sent it to you, but I don't. Most people don't know, but Radar, Poker Radar, Pokemon Radar, John, um, he opened a Neo Genesis pack Saturday night and pulled the first Dead Lugia. Insane. Like to see that in person is like you don't see that every day. And I got to see an entire Aquapolis booster box get ripped on that Saturday. Like Chloe and Dean ripped a whole box, and I was just like, I got to see
Oh my
this
god.
because I probably won't ever be able to see that in person again. Maybe like that's a $30,000 plus box.
Oh my
So
god,
yeah.
the amount of content I would have made from that, dude. I would have literally had my phone would have been full of
Can
videos,
I?
and I would
Yeah.
have just been releasing different experiences from that event.
Can I give
So
you?
looking back,
Can I give you a little advice about attending your first Collecticon?
hmm
Go in as just another participant. Don't go in with the mindset of like creating content because it'll just get it'll disappear. Like it'll feel like 2 days went by in 2 hours.
I don't want that
Just
to happen.
yeah, you don't. You want to stay engaged, meet people. Like I'm sure there's people that watch your channel that are going to be at Charlotte and that are going to want to say hi and hang out, and you'll have a blast, man. I 100% like I know for certain. Like I'm pretty sure Rusty's going to be there. Like you're going to want to like hang out with
He's
Rusty at some
definitely
point.
gonna be there.
Like that's probably the only Collecticon Rusty's going to, from what I've heard. He's got family, so it's hard for him to go to like you probably couldn't come to Long Beach, like, but Charlotte's right there for you. Um,
Yeah,
which is in September, right?
yeah. September. I feel like 22nd or maybe September. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's
It's
the
September
22nd.
16th through the 17th. Yeah, who knows if like this new job lines up, maybe I'll be able to attend more Collecticons. If we'll see. Maybe I might show up to Charlotte. We'll never know. Um,
Dude. So it's cool because now my channel being at where it's at, which I'm like, I feel like a huge weight is lifted off my shoulders hitting 2K because now I'm like, okay, I'm gunning for 3K now, and I
congrats on
feel like
that.
it just, as long as I'm consistent, the channel will be fine, and I don't have the stress of like it's gonna fall off. If I stop for a week, no one's gonna remember who I am, type deal. But I'm excited to definitely do some content while I'm at Collecticon, just because 2,000 plus people will be able to see that on the channel, and that's a way that I can actually give back to the community for those people that are not going to be able to attend that event. I think that's a really big privilege that I'll have, and honestly, because I'm not going in as a new collector, like as a seasoned collector, there's not a whole lot I'm gonna be. I know there's gonna be stuff there that I'm like, I want this, I want that. They've got sealed Game Boy
Yeah.
games. They've got they've got theme decks that I still don't have that are mint
Yeah.
sealed condition. Like I'm gonna lose my mind there, but I'm going there for Gold Star Pikachu, Gold Star Rayquaza, crystals, if I can get a deal on one of those. But mainly that Rayquaza is
You'll
like,
probably
if I get
see
the
all of that.
Rayquaza, I can work my way down. I feel like from there. I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Rayquaza is as bad as it's gonna get.
Rayquaza will definitely be a tough one. But you'll see all that stuff, man. I don't like. There's no doubt about it.
And I feel like a
Um,
Charizard in cash or other slabs on top of a Charizard first edition, like I feel like that is a really fair trade to go after for like a coveted gold star like that, because
yeah,
it's Charizard first edition. I don't even want to trade it, but I just can't fathom spending even more money after the past couple of years on
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That'll be my first big trade. If I can get that on camera, that would be sick. That would be
I
absolutely sick.
I actually remember at Long Beach last year, I was just walking by a vendor, and this guy was considering buying a Crystal 10 Charizard like cash, and I'm just like, that is insane. Like, just I think it was like 15K, I think something like that. Just dropped
That's not even
15K.
insane though. It's just we don't have the kind of collectors in this hobby. Like they're out there, but very few are in the hobby that are like on YouTube and broadcasting how heavily into it they are. But like,
Yeah.
bro, if you're making 1 million a year and you
Oh
randomly
yeah,
decide I want to
sure.
chase my childhood again, you're going after tens and not even batting an eye, and the rest of us
No,
are just oh my god, I've spent so much money on other stuff. Like I'll never be able to get a card like that. You know,
I
like
it's not that. It's
sucks.
not about like how much you make, but it's just like the idea of like $15,000 no matter who it is. Like that's a chunk of change. But I've seen some crazy stuff. Like there was a collector I was hanging out with at Card Party that spent easily 50K on Friday alone. Like I witnessed a $20,000 wire transfer. I saw some plays happening, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is how certain things work. Which it kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm not well, not necessarily surprised. It just like opened up how
Oh, it's a
crazy this.
surprise. It's a
Yeah,
surprise
yeah,
because even though Pokemon is blown up, the cards are worth way more now than they were, 6 years, 5 years ago.
yeah,
It's still like I lost the Gold Star Pikachu like a week or so ago. I was bidding on a Gold Star Pikachu, and I lost that. And so I immediately offered a dude after I lost that. I offered a dude on a 2350, what it ended at, and he ended up selling that card the next day for like 2,900. And I
yeah.
was so upset about it. And I remember saying to my friend, um, I remember texting him and being like, "I'm so angry right now that someone paid almost $3,000 for a piece of cardboard. Like, I just referred it as like a piece of cardboard. It's just paper." And like he was like, "Is it just paper?" Dot dot dot. And I was like, "Damn it, no, it's not just paper. It's the
Just
shiniest, nicest paper." You
it
know,
won't be
like
the last one though. Just think about it that way. Like it won't be the last nine you see. There will be other opportunities, and you might be like it might work out for you. Maybe you get it for less than what your final bid was on that. You
I
know what I
really
mean?
want the Gold Star Pikachu more than I want the Rayquaza. Like, if all value was aside, I think I would actually put the Gold Star Pikachu above Rayquaza because of the stance, how tough he looks,
Oh yeah, it's a
being
dope
the
Pikachu.
mascot of the hobby. Like, that
Yeah,
is a card I want actually more than the Gold Star
that's
Rayquaza. But the Ray is
that's
like the hype aspect.
so Ray is EX Deoxys, and then Pikachu's Holon Phantoms, right? And then what else is in Holon? Is it Gyarados
The
and
Mewtwo and the
Mewtwo?
Gyarados.
Yeah, it is a
What's
Mewtwo.
interesting what's interesting is I feel like they botched the gold stars that have the reverse hollow on there. Now, my friend disagrees with me on this, but the Charizard looks terrible with the reverse hollow. It would have looked so much better with a Cosmo hollow. The
Oh,
Gyarados kind of pulls it off. But
I
I think the Mew is also a reverse.
it
Um,
is. I didn't realize that. You're right. You're right.
They don't look as good, do they? They
Yeah,
really
no.
don't look as good.
Yeah, because so the Gold Star
The
dogs,
Cosmos Hollow is like,
the Jolteon,
mwah.
they're all Cosmo. Yeah, I didn't. Wow, I didn't realize that. That's funny.
It's
Um,
weird. It's
yeah.
weird.
I
So,
mean,
and
no
I've
matter
seen
what,
that he brought
Japanese
them
takes the cake with those hollows.
by the reverse gold stars. He brought those by in person like 2 days ago, and I asked him if I could record it for content, and he was like, "No, this is like for your eyes only." So that was really cool because I got to see those cards in nines up close. Um, and I gotta say, dude, he's gonna hate me for saying this, but it is very lackluster. Those
Mm,
cards, because of the reverse hollow, it is very lackluster. The Cosmos hollow, in my opinion, just
yeah,
crushes everything as far as the gold stars. And Chaos has mentioned this. They should just bring Cosmo hollows back. Like briefly, that would be so cool if they brought that back.
oh, it would be
Like
cool. It would be super cool if they brought those back as secret rares. I think they did something like that in, I don't know if it's
sure.
black and white, but yeah, bringing back Cosmo Hollows and like a standard like half art, make it a certain secret rarity would be would be awesome. Um, what set did that? I know that there was like a secret rare Charmander or Charmeleon, and then there was a Pikachu in another set. What was it? If someone in the chat could help me, like,
Yo, Annie, what's up, guys? I'm sorry, I've been neglecting the chat a little bit. Chaos, if you do, we all gotta hang. Benjamin Dean, you get from it what you put in, I think. A little bit of everything. You take any viewer calls. Let me call you on the show so we can discuss some stuff. Hey, Benjamin Dean, you don't even need to be chasing your childhood. Pokemon is just cool. Pokemon is just cool. I didn't have a lot of nice Pokemon cards as a kid, so like I can't use that excuse of like it's so nostalgic for me because that would be a lie. Um, I was more into Yu-Gi-Oh than I was Pokemon,
mm,
and I had like a binder with a bunch of Japanese hollows. They were cheaper, and my buddy had a bunch of them when he was a kid that he gave to me. Um, but yeah, just the pandemic being closed in. I think I also was so amazed because these characters were making this was getting hundreds of thousands of viewers and those subscribers, and I learned more about ad revenue and how YouTube pays out. I was like, oh my god, these
yeah,
guys are having fun doing this addictive gambling culture type thing, and they are making a killing doing it, and they don't really have to work. I mean, they have to work on making the videos, but I would much rather be in this room for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. I'll hire an editor, I'll hire a person to help me with videography, which there's somebody who's already trying to do that, but I've told them I don't have enough ad revenue to start splitting money and giving you a piece of the cake so that we can make better content overall. But like, that's definitely a dream of mine. I want the bar to be like, I want it to be autonomous and be able to function on its own and be able to trust people to run it. And then I want to be in here making content. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out for me. It was easier when COVID was a thing. It was easier when everyone was stuck inside. I feel like all Pokemon streamers and YouTubers that were making consistent content were benefiting from that time frame. But I feel
yeah,
like now is make or break it. I feel like you
yeah.
have to really be consistent right now.
Yeah, consistency is definitely probably one of the more important things. I think like the pack ripping early on in 2020 and 2021 on YouTube was it was entertaining at the time, right? Because like you were being brought back to your childhood with booster boxes you may have opened back then, and it's kind of a stress reliever with like all of the things that were going on in the world at the times, right? Like people were able, it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's like going to the
Absolutely.
movies, right? Yeah, it's like you get your escape for a
Well,
couple hours, and that was what PokeRev did. Like he entertained people, and he's great. He's a great entertainer. Just Leon Hart's a great entertainer. They're all great entertainers. That's their job. And I think what made Rev so successful is his consistency and his love for the hobby. Like you see it. Same with Lee. I know Leon Hart probably gets a lot of shit. Um, from a lot of people. I don't hate any YouTuber. I don't like. I met a lot of these people at Card Party, and I have nothing but good things to say about all of the ones that I met.
right,
As
like we're humans,
people,
we make mistakes,
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And when you're a really big YouTuber, you're also putting yourself in the spotlight. So every decision you
yeah,
make can be cast in the wrong
yep,
context.
100%.
Um, I there are I feel like YouTubers that I definitely don't appreciate though. I don't appreciate the content that is kind of ripping on other content creators. It's just like to me, even if it's righteous, like and that's a fine line because Rattle, calls people out, and like I'm like, go Rattle. But then when someone's calling out another content creator for something they say or a statement, and I'm not going to get into names, but
Sure.
it's
Yeah, there's
not
drama.
original content, and it's negativity, and the fact that someone can benefit from that negativity that frustrates me because I always focus on like I'm making my content. I don't worry about what anybody else's content is. I want us to all be friends and everybody in this hobby, this
Yeah,
community succeed. And it seems like there's definitely gatekeeping in this hobby, and it's frustrating to me because it's like I shouldn't
yeah,
expect anything different. I'm a newbie. I'm coming in. I've got 3 years of collecting back on me, and these cats are like
Yeah, I think
15 years.
it's
I've been collecting since EX series, and I never stopped. You don't know anything about Pokemon. That kind of stuff, the gatekeeping and the calling out new streamers, it's just kind of
yeah.
frustrates me.
Yeah, and I can understand that, and I applaud you for putting yourself out there in that way. Like I have technically a YouTube channel. I have one video. I'm
Which we
not
will link
consistent.
in the description.
No, honestly, it's not even a big deal. I don't post content like that, but like I I've had the idea of really going at it at one point, but like my career right now has been my biggest focus, and with time, maybe I'll reconsider the idea. But yeah, I think putting yourself out there, you're gonna have the good and the bad. It's just about how you take it in, and like I think a lot of people bash people on the internet, but when you meet someone in person, it's so different. It's so like I think you get to know
That's a great
someone and that they're yeah. Like,
great point.
I hate keep to continue to use like Leon Hart or Lee as an example, but like he's definitely a character, but his biggest audience are probably kids, right? So like he's not cussing up a storm, maybe like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe like Ryan. Ryan's got a mouth on him for sure.
And
But I
he's
like both
drinking
their
too,
content.
which is
Yeah,
somebody
hey,
is a friend, and I don't know him, and he doesn't know me. But if I met Ryan and I was real close with him, I'd be like, is everything good? And
he's
that's
got it under control.
only because like it's not in my blood. Like it's ironic because I run a bar, but if I drink anything, I just absolutely am a mess. Like I feel like
Yeah.
crap the next day. So I
I'm a
really just
lightweight too, dude. Don't worry. I'm a
or
lightweight.
that
Like,
or
yeah, I'm a
that.
lightweight. I don't
Um,
drink a lot, but no, I mean everyone has their own way of expressing themselves, right? And like I know that there's drama in the hobby. There always will be. There's always going to be bad things, especially when there's like money to be made in a hobby. But it's all about just meeting people. I think once you start putting yourself out there, like all of these YouTubers are, you'll find how you'll find a new respect for a lot of these people, and you'll be surprised on how people are in real life compared to what you see on the internet. It's like
well,
actors. Like if
Well,
you met
they're
an
well,
actor in
they're
real life,
they're grinding, and I know they're doing their grind. And when they're off
yeah,
camera, they're burnt out, and they become a normal human like the rest of us.
yeah, it's
Um, Speaking of the bad, before we forget, let's talk about this Instagram thing real quick. We'll give that a little bit of time, and then I want to talk about the Blake Martinez deal. Even though I don't really want to gossip because that's something that I just don't like in general, but I do think it's an interesting topic just to brush up on real quick.
yeah. I don't know
Um,
much about the Blake thing. Yeah, but sure, definitely.
so do you have any information on what the deal was with the Instagram? Because I was busy making content. I saw on Instagram, I saw a PokeRev thing that he was like, they came after me. Um, do you know anything about that?
I I know a lot of people that were affected by it, like some longer than others. Like I know Dean had his and Chloe had their accounts like off Instagram for almost a week, but I think they just got them back as of like yesterday, I think. And I don't know if it was because of I don't know if it's like Instagram's guidelines. I don't know if Pokemon came down on Meta and said, "Hey, we can't have like your the maybe the guidelines are a little
Everyone's
gray."
doing
Like, but
everyone's doing
anything,
Facebook
yeah,
and Instagram so that they can sell cards, right? So
I don't
it's
know.
not just it's not
It's
just Pokemon Company. I think Pokemon Company and eBay have a very kind of interesting relationship. eBay's got stuff getting authenticated, for PSA, slabs. Everything is changing now. I think it really comes down to money. I think it comes down to money, and in my opinion, I don't know anything about it. But this is just an
wait,
opinion, a
sorry,
theory. I
I'm
think it
lost.
comes down to they
eBay?
don't want business being conducted regarding Pokemon, not on seller platforms or
Hmm.
people just being able to go directly to that source. I think that scares a number of parties.
Yeah, I don't know because like it wasn't necessarily just people selling Pokemon on their accounts. It was just if you had Poke or Pokemon in your handle on Instagram, that their accounts were being suspended. Some were released like after just a couple hours, a couple days, but some were still locked up. I know Rev
Copyright
or
legal type stuff, I guess.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Very odd because it did seem like it was really just like on the Pokemon community. I didn't hear about it elsewhere. I'm not really looking into um, other parts of Instagram. I don't know if other kind of hobbies or and whatnot were being accounts were being suspended, but yeah, it seemed targeted on Pokemon. Yeah, I thought that was odd. I don't know what's happening honestly, but it seems like most people are getting their accounts back or changing their handles, which is crazy.
Well, in some ways, why should people? I mean, they are marketing Pokemon, but in another way, Pokemon is strategic, and they're like, "Look, we don't need you guys to market us. We are killing it right now, so we don't really want you all to benefit off of the franchise that we've built." Because people make content, and then they have a following, and then not only selling stuff, but when they post any kind of Pokemon-based content, to monetize that just from videos or shorts or reels. There are some people, especially the artists, the people that do drawing stuff like that, which I respect big time. But they could do a reel and get thousands, of views on that reel and likes. And I don't know how Instagram does revenue. I don't understand that. But I just tend to think everything involves money. Now, the
Yeah,
Blake
definitely.
Martinez thing. Don't you think it's interesting that a very high profile football player, like someone who already has a lot of money, and why are people still using Whatnot? I got approved for Whatnot. I almost checked into it, but there's so much drama around Whatnot that I've just completely stayed away from it to avoid anything bad possibly happening to me, or
Yeah.
even the chance of me doing a Whatnot and then being seen. The perception that people that do Whatnot are like sleazy, I'll say,
Mhm.
just because I feel like Whatnot gets a really bad rep, and I feel like there's great sellers probably on Whatnot. I know some of my shops stream on Whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, but
Sorry, can you give me a summary of what happened? I'm not entirely sure what happened with Blake. I've heard it being thrown around, but I don't know exactly
So
what the
Rattle did a
situation.
three-part series video, and I didn't even need to watch all three videos. There's so many people talking about it. There's Instagram posts about it. I saw it on my Instagram feed before it was like really a big deal. I saw Blake's breaks, and I was like, "This is a really, this is a handsome-looking guy here. What is this guy doing in the Pokemon community?" Like, forgive me for saying that, but I saw like a very like kind of like fit like athletic looking dude, and I was like, all right, this guy's just a young entrepreneur. I didn't know that Blake Sprakes was this football player, right? I was just like, who is this
Blake
guy?
Martinez.
Why
I
am
think
I
he
hearing about him now?
played for the Raiders and the Giants, I think, right?
And then we're hearing about all the people that he has doing Whatnot, and he also has a stake in Whatnot, and the people doing the Whatnot are doing switcheroos, and
Oh, they're
swapping cards out and fumbling, you know, because we're talking about football player, they're fumbling these cards somehow, and it's very obvious. Like when you look over the footage again, it's very obvious. It's amazing that everything stays in the web. So whatever you do, you have to be careful about it. And I would think someone like that. Here we go. We got someone who just he was in all the annoying Whatnot commercials. Okay, no, that's not solid information. But
funny enough. I actually sold a bunch of cards to him on eBay. Like I'd say like 6 months ago, 6 to 8 months ago.
everyone
I
seems to have selling stories with him. So how did that go?
Crazy
Interesting.
enough, I was gonna list. I had a bunch of like early Nintendo era hollows. So like Torkoal from like I don't know if it's like Sandstorm or something like that, but I had like
Yeah.
Sableye, all those really cool like Cosmo hollows from the early Nintendo sets, and I was gonna sell them individually on eBay, but I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens if I list them all in a lot. Um, Within 5 minutes, I get an offer from Blake, and I'm like, wait, is this like Blake? And I only knew him as the football player that was, I think he was doing Whatnot at the time. there, but that's all I knew is that he was a streamer. I didn't even know if it was whatnot or not. I just knew he streamed and did box breaks. And then he DMs me and on eBay, and I was like, I mean, I'm open to working a deal out with you, and we made an agreement, and I sold him like I don't know about $1,000 worth of cards. Um, yeah, smooth transaction. I don't have anything else to say about it, but yeah, I sold him cards. It worked out.
Huh.
Like I didn't think it was one of the fastest eBay sales I've ever made. I was really surprised.
Okay. Well,
Right
that's
time.
another
Yeah,
story that people should hear. That there are people that had good transactions and good experiences. Wow. So $1,000 worth of cards. That had to have been what, 100 hollows? Like, had to have
it
been a
was
lot of
less.
hollows.
It was way. I think I did pretty good on that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you probably did too.
yeah, I sold. It had to have been like I'd say like 25 to 30 cards. It wasn't that much. I did pretty good. I don't. Was it 1,000 or I could check.
Yeah, dude, the whole eBay thing with the fees and the shipping costs,
Yeah,
though, I'm
it
really
was like
starting to look
850.
at it. Like,
It's like
okay.
850 after everything's said and done. Um, yeah, no, that's I mean, not much of a story. Just had a transaction really. It just worked out. Didn't have any issues, but it's I mean, who knows? I haven't looked into this. I don't know much about it. I've heard certain things, but I didn't pay much attention to it. Um, but if it happened, it happened, man. He's got to own up to it if that's the case. Otherwise, he'll just get continue to get dragged through all these different social channels
Yeah,
until
I mean, for his reputation, this whole thing is
yeah, it's
really
not good.
sad.
Yeah, it's not good.
You have a professional athletic career and then just
Yeah.
the shady Pokemon crap. And now with the current environment, everybody in Pokemon knows about it. Um,
Mapped packs, open packs. Last rattle reported his account was under investigation. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, his streamers. So was it Blake himself or was it his streamers? Because that's another thing. It's like when you have a business like this, I know Dan talks about it too. He's just like, will I ever have an employee? And he said probably not. Like unless I'm scaling at that rate, but it's probably only going to be someone that's within his family. Kind of like Rusty and Rev. Like Rev, all of Nick's Rev, all of his brothers work for him, and they run. I'm pretty sure the ones that break down product for all of his mystery packs and seed everything the way he anticipates them. Like he has a small circle. He has a circle that he trusts, and I respect that. Like that's how it should be. And I know Rusty has his like direct immediate family helping him. I think his wife helps him with certain things. It's like you can only bring in people that you trust like when it like to blood. Like it's got to be that close. So it's I can only imagine both he gave instructions supposedly to get things to work in the streamer's favors. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Unfortunate events. Can't really like I'm not going to like bash the guy, but it doesn't sound good. Like having trust in this hobby and is probably one of the most important things, especially if you're a business. Like I know that there's all those shady like sellers doing shady stuff. I don't know whose YouTube channel it was, but I randomly came across a video where someone bought a pretty rare promo for like $600-700, and they sent him like it was like took 2 weeks to come in the mail, and it was just two Pokemon stickers. Like just totally screwed the guy. Uh, and now he's got no return address. He has no real information on the person. It was a burner Instagram account or something like that. It's crazy the places people will go to make a little bit of cash, probably just to get in
well,
trouble at
also,
some point.
it's a good lesson for buyers. Pokemon is rife with scamming and just
Yeah.
bullcrap,
Oh.
and you're buying stuff online, and it's not the condition that you thought it was. I
Yep.
just bought a leaf green, Pokemon leaf green, for like $340. Just came in for the mail day video today. Had indentions in it that weren't shown at all in the photos. If you looked really closely, you could see something was going on, but it was never like put into harsh light the way that I did just today. I was like, yeah, this is not great. So it's
Yeah.
like I think everyone just passes it on to the next person, and I care a lot about my reputation. So on my eBay, I'm like, I literally will say, has this problem, has this problem, has this problem. Transparency is key. Every person that's ever had an issue from the 200 things I've already shipped out and sold on eBay, I've had two issues. And both of those issues were addressed by me saying, will you look back at the listing and then change your feedback? And they changed the feedback instantly because they look back at the listing. They're like, damn it, dude, you're right. You showed this in the photo. And I would say, like, I will send you a free card. Like, I will make it worth your
Make it
time.
up.
Like, just
Yeah,
I want it to make it right always. The customer is always right no matter what.
yeah.
Um,
That's why I always like as a seller, I like to post more photos as much as I can. And then as a buyer, I'm always gonna ask for more photos before. And like if I don't get a response, I don't buy the item. Like, whoopsie, big deal. Because I know that a lot of eBay sellers don't like to be asked for more photos because they find it
a
annoying.
lot of the eBay
Especially,
sellers don't want to deal with anything, and
yeah, they
that's
just
I
want you to buy it, and I get it. I totally get it. I get both sides of the buyer seller aspects on eBay. It makes sense, but as a seller, you want to be a lot more careful. That's all. Yeah, just care about
um,
cash, and they won't. And yeah, like I almost got scammed. Luckily, you never pay with friends and family. If anyone ever pays friends and family with someone they don't know, you're the chances are you might get scammed. Like, do goods and
goods and services
service.
all the
Yeah,
way.
always never don't do Venmo goods and service. I've heard bad things about Venmo goods and service. Apparently, you're not protected. Um, there's a consistent scammer on my local Craigslist that always asks for Venmo goods and service. And funny enough, one of my friends that's not even in the Pokemon space actually got scammed by that specific person. And I wish they had reached out to me because they know I'm big on Pokemon, and I could have been like, "Hey, I actually had a conversation with this scammer
Well,
on like,
it can be embarrassing asking for
yeah,
advice or help. Sometimes you
that's
don't want
true.
people to know your business.
Yeah.
I actually there was somebody on a Charlotte listing that said they had base, jungle, and fossil and rocket complete except for the hollows. And at this time, I was right about to begin my WotC binder journey, and I had a lot of the cards, but I just thought I just don't even want to organize anything. I want to just buy them all and have the sets organized, and all I do is put them in the binder and put the hollows in, and I'm done. So the person asked for half the money in advance, and me thinking there's just cheap cards, it doesn't matter. I sent half the money. They said they shipped it. They said maybe they got the address wrong. Did we want to try again? And I was just like, nah, I'm good. Maybe something got messed up in shipment, but I'm good. And that was the last time. And it's happened since where people ask if you send me half the funds, I'll ship out I'll ship out if you send me half the funds, then I'll ship out the cards, and then once you get the cards, you can send me the rest when you see everything is legit.
Hmm.
Right? They're like, once you get everything, you'll see everything is legit. Um, I hate that because it is those people are making a lot of money scamming just gullible people
Yeah.
like myself. Especially when it's like small dollar stuff. Like they wanted like $40. They wanted like $40 for I think base jungle and fossil, all the uncommons and commons. And I was like, are these mint? They're like, they're all mint pretty much. They just sat
Yeah.
in a box. And I was like, oh, this is great. It's always too good to be true. Don't
Yeah.
don't do anything that seems like it's too good to be true.
Yeah, and I wanna mention what Flip said. He said I run an IG account selling vintage clothes. My customers shoot me my payment friends and family because I've done business with them multiple times. Yeah, absolutely. If you build trust, and you're open to taking friends and family, by all means. I mean, taxes might get you someday, but go for it, man. Like, and yeah, I do friends and family here and there, but when you're buying from people you don't know for the first time, I highly advise never doing goods and service. I mean, never doing friends and family. Sorry. Um, yeah, it's a slippery slope. And actually, funny enough, you mentioned like I pay half up front and then I'll ship the cards, etc. One of my close friends, he does this with a seller all the time. Like sometimes he won't even pay until he gets the cards in hand. It's because they've built trust. That's only going to happen if you've built trust with a seller. You're never going to do that or those types of things with people you don't know or have like zero feedback on eBay. Like, don't do those types of things. Yeah, think realistic. If someone has 100% feedback, I mean, I still would only do goods and service first time around just to see what that experience is like. Um, yeah, definitely. Lots of scams to
Um,
be had for sure.
so, what are you thinking? And then we'll wrap up shortly because I've taken a lot of your time.
I'm
Thank
chilling.
you for coming up on here.
Yeah.
What do you think about Obsidian Flames?
Oh gosh, I think it's a terrible set. Don't hate
Yeah,
me.
bad,
Don't
isn't
hate
it?
me. I think it's um
I agree with you. I just hate that
yeah.
I overpaid on a pre-order already, and I'm the type of guy. I'm too lazy to. I have
Yeah.
too much pride to tell that seller, like, nope. I think I've changed my mind. This set looks like it's garbage, and I might just like buy one box, watch it go below MSRP. Dude, it's
Yeah.
a travesty, man. People were looking
Yeah.
forward to that so much. It's just travesty.
I think it's multiple factors. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Charizard artworks that they're doing for this set. When I thought of the name of the set, Obsidian Flames, I thought, okay, it's gonna be a dark terraform Charizard, and obviously that has to do with like the new crystallization from the game. But I thought maybe they'll do like a shiny Charizard, right? Because it's black, obsidian, dark, like all of those ideas and themes. And I thought it would be a little better. And then another alt art that I thought might be a possibility because I saw the art rare, but Houndour, like Dark Fire, like Houndoom alt art. Where are you? Like we missed out. Um,
Dude, dude, that's crazy you say that because I love Houndour and Houndoom,
yeah,
and that definitely broke me to not see them incorporated in the set, like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then the other alt arts, I think there's actually, I know this one's like 50-50 with people, but I like the Pidgeotto, Pidgeot, and Pidgey artworks.
I
It's
do too.
fun. The Ice Cube is okay. It's an interesting art.
The Scizor is good.
That's where I'm
The
going.
Scizor is like one of the
Yeah,
only good cards in the
that
set.
card is crazy. That card, like I'm already picturing it in like a PSA slab with the red label. Like that card's fire. That card's sick. They did really good with that artwork.
Scizor in general, I feel like because its color is red, and red catches our eyes. This is why red sports cars get more tickets because they catch policemen's eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, Chaos. The
the Nine
Ninetale. That's
Tails
a
is good too. Yeah,
yeah, 100%. And I think I remember seeing another art rare that I liked from Obsidian.
maybe
Um,
like a full art trainer that I'm just like not thinking of.
there's like Poppy or
Like
something like
that.
that, where it has like Caparaja or something in the background. I do think one of the best art rares is the Pokemon Center exclusive Charmander, where he's like basically like a cat looking at the birds outside of the window. I don't know if you've seen that art rare. It's the
Dude,
Pokemon Center,
do you,
or it's the ETB
are you
promo actually.
aware? Are you aware what's going on with the Pikachu
Cleffa.
promo from Paldea? I called that. I called that shit. I
What
called it.
is it? I mean, it's Pikachu.
I
It's
I I don't know. It's really just based on my sales, but that card hasn't ended an auction. I think it's at like 12.50 for me right now.
for
When
just a
that
raw
card came
copy.
out, it is, yes, it's a raw copy. It's not in a sleeve pack, but that's a $3 card, right? I don't think it's a $3 card. That when my shop has those in there, it'll have like 5 or 6 of them in there, $3 a pop. I snag them not because I want to flip them. I truly feel like that's a really undervalued promo, and I feel the same way with Obsidian Flames, which is why I'm glad I got a case of ETBs just for the fresh promos to be preserved. But I'm excited for my local card shop to be going in there when Obsidian Flames drops. Those first couple days of Obsidian Flames, my shop is going to get a ton of those Charmander promos in, and I'm going to be buying them up. Like,
Yeah,
or people won't trade them in because they'll see it as like, no, this is a good promo. I got to keep this. But the fact that they gave up the Pikachu so easily, when that's a great promo, in my opinion, makes me feel they're going to do the same thing with the Charmanders.
yeah. I mean, I was expecting. and
All
art,
the promos
like
have
a
been so good.
yeah. I expected like a story art for Charizard, to be honest, because we
Gloom,
saw the Charmander. Yeah,
Gloom
Gloom's a
is
big
really
one.
good too. I forgot
Yeah,
about the Gloom.
yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of. There's some good art rares. It's just that,
Now
man,
we
if you
haven't
look at,
person yet, right?
we
When
haven't
we
seen
see
what?
it in person, that's going to change everything.
I
Until I
actually
see
saw.
that card in my hands, I feel like I can't judge it yet.
I've seen a few of them. There's a pre-releases at my local shop, so I've seen some of the art rares. The thing is, the quality of these prints are horrible. Like we have, I don't know if you've seen it on all the art rares in Scarlet and Violet, but they have the print lines that go both horizontal and vertical, and they look like it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Um, I don't know what it is with Scarlet and Violet print quality. I think that they're definitely
Doing too
cutting
much,
corners,
maybe
literally.
doing too much.
Yeah, in between, like 151 is just definitely overshadowing it. I've been picking up the art rares from 151 Japanese because the quality is so much nicer. Um, and I mean, they're pretty cheap for the most part. I think I like need like one or two more art rares to have all of them. And then I need the EXs. I got to have the Blastoise. I think 151 Blastoise is like Mitsuhiro Arita just like killed that. Like it reminds
Absolutely.
me so much of Dark Blastoise. It's one of my favorites. As a Blastoise stan, that's prime for me. I'm like salivating thinking about that card. I hope I'll probably pick it up in a 10 or grade a few, hopefully. Um,
Dude, I'm so excited for 151 to just be like printed into surplus because again, I want my shop to get all those Obsidian Flames promos. I wanted to get all those 151 cards that just plummet in value because there's
yeah,
so much out there that people are going to be shocked. They're going to be like, I can't believe this. All these beautiful, gallery cards and these full art cards, all this stuff is like $5 to $10. I
yeah,
can't wait for it. I'm
yeah,
so excited. So
yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, and I want to mention what Chaos said. Like, we also need to keep in mind most new generations early sets suck overall. Yes, that's very true. But I have to say, if you ignore the print quality of Scarlet and Violet era sets so far, they are much better than early, like first block of every new gen. Like like I mean, Paldea has some amazing art rares, has some fantastic alt arts. Like I love the Ruin legendaries. I think those artworks are phenomenal. I love
Dude,
the Koraidon Miraidon from Scarlet and Violet base, the Gardevoir. Like you guys,
just one after another.
like if you really think about it, like there's so much opportunity in those alt arts right now. Just like how Sun and Moon alt arts were super cheap
I
when
feel
they
like I
came
didn't
out.
buy. I feel like
Wh-
I didn't think twice about buying a bunch of Scarlet Violet base, but I really wish I would have bought a couple cases of Paldea Evolved, and I still can. I think Paldea Evolved might be a big one to look back on.
Yeah, I think Paldea is gonna do well long term. Like you got the Magikarp with the Gyarados in the background. Come on now, like that card is sick, and it was definitely being a little market manipulated there for a little bit. Like that card, everyone was trying to sell when that set came out. So the price, I think it's come down quite a bit, but I remember it being like $100. Like that's insane for an art
Yeah,
rare. That and
I remember
Tyranitar.
when I pulled that and I was my third ETB in, I was like, guys, I need a good card to make up for these ETBs. And someone was like, oh, boom, that's your $80 card right there. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, like, within a week, it's like a $50 card across the board.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's come down. I think like Tyranitar and Magikarp are both about $20, and seems high for an art rare, but it's a lot more reasonable than 60, 80
no,
bucks.
I don't think it's high. My the Raichu I just shipped that out today.
Raichu is
It's
sick.
sold
Forgot
for
that was in the
16
set.
bucks. And honestly, for $16, I don't know why I even sold that card. It was really an experiment. I really wanted like at least 30 for it. But from here on out, if I find any of those gallery cards in there and I'm picking them up for 10, 12 bucks, I'm just going to sit on them because those cards are going to be near mint. The
Yeah.
art is great. The Pokemon are great. Um,
It's all about being first. I think with these new sets, being first to market is gonna make you money. Like I was doing before, like up until Scarlet and Violet era, you could go to pre-releases and just buy build-in battles, and I would buy maybe two or three. That's the only time I would ever rip packs. But if I pulled anything, I'd put it on eBay that same day because it would sell for twice as much as it would in like I'd say a month and a half from that point. And sure enough, it did. Like I sold the Rayquaza VMAX from Silver Tempest for double at once it started to like balance itself out. And it's because unfortunately, like I'm not saying I'm like I guess I am like I'm flipping a card, but like people will buy too early. People will pay too much for these cards. And if you watch how like go look at all of the most recent sets, you will see this after release. It's just a straight it's just going down, down, down. There's certain cards that will, balance out a little sooner than others, but most of the time you're going to overspend if you're buying cards before release. If you're buying cards on pre-release, you're spending too much money. Like I'm telling you right
Speaking
now.
of cards that are gonna balance out, you can keep talking. I just have to grab a
Oh
stack
yeah.
of
Yeah, like I've been trying to find all of the Scarlet and Violet alt arts that are like gradable copies, and it's been tough just because of quality. Gardevoir is one that I still need, but like I might as well just buy that card in a 10 because it's only like 80 to 90 bucks in a 10, which is insane.
Wait,
Like
wait, what? The
it's
Gardevoir is
yeah.
only 80, 90, and a 10?
I bought Koraidon alt art in a PSA 10 for 75 bucks. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's like you have to average out
Dude,
like
I
obviously in a
honestly didn't even think twice about buying that card in a high grade because it just came out and it's cheap. That's a smart move, I feel like.
it's
Regardless
well
of the populations, tens are always going to pull that premium, and now is a great time to get this. I think you're going to do really well on those.
I
Um,
even raw,
I'm
like
waiting.
if you
I'm
buy those
waiting
cards
on
raw,
these. I'm
hey,
waiting on these to go up in value.
where did these go?
The Crown Zenith Suicune is one of the most beautiful cards. Well, I got some Deoxyses in here, but the Crown Zenith Suicunes, man, they're
Yeah.
so undervalued. It's such a beautiful card.
These having these like I need the gold stars to go with them, but in nines. I won't be buying tens. But these just look great. I think Entei is
Yeah,
my least favorite,
those are
but
fantastic.
yeah, graded all those myself. Crown Zenith quality was like really good, like really good. Like I rarely had issues with submitting cards to PSA with Crown Zenith. I don't think I sent in a Crown Zenith card where I didn't expect a 10, and sure enough, I did. Um, but yeah, like I said, Scarlet and Violet alt arts are insanely cheap in PSA 10s. Like if you think about the cost of grading, you think about the cost of buying a membership, shipping the cards, it's close. It's pretty close. I know Koraidon like raw is only like probably like 12 to 15 bucks if I remember
Yeah, I think
correctly.
18 bucks.
Yeah, it's selling for like listings are buy it now for 18. I'm sure that there's some that went for much less, but um, yeah, like you can also, if you want to start buying a bunch of these, I'm literally just calling out plays. You can buy a bunch of Koraidons and then sell them for 80, 90 bucks. Who knows on PSA 10s. But like I
Dude,
said,
I really like the Rhydon and Miradon. Don't give me any ideas.
I have both of those in 10s. My Miraidon I actually want to sell because it's not a strong 10. Like I said, these Scarlet and Violet era alt arts quality is pretty weak. Um, But yeah, there's even some of the art rares that I'd like to have in tens. Like that Scizor is one for sure. I think that card in Ninetales and a 10 would look really cool. I'm all about the aesthetic. Like if you can color match, like that's why this Blastoise is in the blue graded card. You gotta match everything. Um, yeah, yeah,
Dude, that's such a trophy to have sitting there. That's
yeah.
such a trophy.
It's not usually out. I brought it out just for the talk, but it's usually tucked away safely. I don't get to look at it often, so it's nice to pull it out every now and then.
Yeah,
Um,
big props on that. Well, if
Thank
you
you.
want to show that to everybody real
Yeah,
quick, I just think that that's a really special card to be able to see. You just see how glossy that hollow is.
it's a yeah. I'll take it.
1999 first edition base set. That is just that's such
Yeah,
a treat to be able to see that card.
it's a great card. But yeah,
Beautiful.
I have fun with modern. I'm like I really think that the vintage versus modern talk is quite exhausting. I think you can do well in either. But I always like to say, like I said earlier, like you should be selling hype, not buying hype. That way, like, and I say that when you're collecting too, like you should be collecting the stuff that people aren't like talking about actively. I think vintage, there's a lot of opportunity. If you want to chase some of those grails right now, like there's still a lot more than they were 5 years ago, but prices are kind of coming down a bit on vintage. Like a lot of people are selling off their vintage because prices, they probably paid way more for them in 2020.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I mean, you could easily sell off a gold star collection of sevens and eights and probably net 15, 20K. Put that in a 4%, and now you're getting $80 every single month for just having your money sitting. You're having money earning you money. Or you can put a down payment on a house or get that new car you really want. I mean, invest in the stock market before it really starts moving up. I
yeah,
think there are a lot of plays that have been opened up this
yeah.
year.
And like
And
this is a hobby, right? When it comes down to it, this is a hobby. There's ways to make it a business, but for the most of us, it's mostly just a hobby. And so, like finding ways to spend less money out of your income, the better. And you are still able to reach your collection goals is even like that's the fun part. It's like it's a game, right? Like we're all competing against each other, but we're all having fun together at the same time. And we're also like helping each other reach each other's goals. Like I've helped make sales happen for people that, hey, this person is looking for like just last weekend one of my close friends, he's big into sports, but he dabbles in Pokemon. He's a big Umbreon collector, and he'll have some high end alt arts here and there. And he had the Tyranitar and Sableye alt art, and I knew someone that was looking for that card, and they were both at that trade night, but didn't know each other. And I was just like, you talk to him, deal happened. Like I just like making people reach their goals is also it's a rewarding feeling too, right? Like everyone gets excited because although we may be going after the same card, like I'm still happy to see you get it. Like one of my close friends, he gets some cards that I'm like, damn, I wish I could have got that card at that price or with that trade, but we can't win them all. Like we really,
well, and also to that point, you got to be happy for everybody because you never know when they might want to get out of the hobby. You got to be nice to everybody because, like, for some of my higher end collectors that are local, if they ever want to do something really big with their life and they want to liquidate, then that's another reason you got to have cash set aside right now. If the market does go down a little bit and people want to consolidate, if you're in a position where you can afford to buy out collections, you are going to absolutely kill it. But you just gotta stick around, and because you never know who's gonna be selling what.
yeah,
So
no, definitely. You never know who you're gonna run into, and like never go into like you mentioned like gatekeeping like man you don't know who you're talking to like sometimes like you don't know they could be some of the biggest collectors in the world they could be just starting out but you should treat everyone the same in the hobby especially like I'm a big advocate for like sharing knowledge and like helping people like learn when they're like, getting back into this hobby because I know how overwhelming it can be there's so many sets like keeping track of all the modern and like there's so much content being fed through YouTube, through socials. Like it's overwhelming. So you like finding good resources is super important for people early on to help them not overspend in this hobby because it's so easy to do. And unfortunately there's that will always happen. Like people are gonna overspend and they're gonna get punished for it. And there's a lot of especially in 2020 it's just like people saying like stonks like money like this Pokemon's blowing up and those were the people that were making the most money off the hobby and sadly and unfortunately a lot of those people weren't in it for the right reasons they were in it for money and a lot of those people are out of the hobby now because prices are kind of they're going down they're still up but they are where they are like I don't like to say the market's tanking but I think it's just finally I don't know who mentioned it, but I think there's like bubbles tend to last like up to 10 years. Like typically, financial bubbles like they tend to last like up to 10 years. So like seeing where this hobby is 10 years from now would be a good assessment of like how successful it was within that time frame. And
Right, right. We
yeah,
all we
people
all
people forget about the dead era. 2003, 2004, no one was collecting Pokemon. You can buy base set booster boxes for 30, $40. Like on Hills Wholesale. Like it's insane. And I know like Chaos was like I don't remember when he said he was collecting all those cards, but it was when cards were quite cheap. And you know, kudos to him for holding on to those cards. I understand why. I know that there's sentiment behind them and a lot of cool stories. I'd imagine like based off. I remember him saying something about that Gold Star Mew. Like that's super cool. um 2015, yeah. So like the hobby then, like how crazy it is for people to be spending those prices, buying cards at that price. Like that's
and he still buys cards today at a
yeah,
premium, which is
sure, yeah,
great.
because he loves the hobby. He loves the hobby. He's a real collector in this hobby. Like people will come in and out, and that's okay. Like I might I don't think Pokemon will ever be out of my life like forever. Like I don't think that's a possibility. I think in one way or another, like I'll always enjoy Pokemon. Will I be this engaged in the hobby for the rest of my life? Maybe not. But like it's okay to have points where it's not like you're not obsessed over, you're not prioritizing it. It's just a hobby. Like it's a like collecting is a lifelong journey. You never really like finish, especially with Pokemon. They're going to be completing set, bringing out sets way after we die if the hobby stays strong enough. And with like the
But
new generation, like kids these days, like vintage will always be vintage, right? People will always want those original sets, like no matter what, no matter when you grew up. Like people are gonna see a base set Charizard and be like, I want it. That's why base set Charizard reprints always do well. Celebrations, evolution, they always do well. You look at what kids are interested in now. It's rainbows. Like imagine like there's opportunity in rainbows if you're a collector, flipper, whatever you want to call it. There's opportunity in rainbows, especially probably in English, because people don't care for like the older generations don't care for rainbows. But if you go into any card shop and you ask someone that works at that card shop, what do kids look for? 9 times out of the 10, they're going to be like rainbow cards, alt arts. But it's mostly because rainbow cards are just appealing to kids. I don't know what it is, but kids love rainbow. So who
I
knows
like
what
the
the
rainbow cards. I
there's
think the rainbow cards are cool.
you put them all in a binder, that would look pretty cool, but they get lost for me. I'm big on art. I have a design. I come from a design background, so like having contrasts, it doesn't have much contrast to me. The Japanese ones though, the Japanese rainbows look really good because of the way they texture their cards.
Well, the texture in general for Japanese is off the
Yeah,
chains.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
I mean, I've got a basic VMAX here that someone backed out on, but it's
Mm,
still here. So we put that back up. But the
is that a
texture just on
Japanese?
VMAX card
Yeah,
is nuts.
yeah, I love
Um,
that card.
so before I forget, one thing I wanted to say is that no matter where you are in the hobby, it is so powerful to have the knowledge. And so
Yeah,
many like streamers, big time collectors have said this. It doesn't matter how invested you are at a particular time, or how uninvested you are for a period of time. You still have the knowledge of the whole market if you've been watching stuff and know about it. And that's very powerful because that makes it very easy to check back in whenever you want and not feel that overwhelmed feeling of just
yep.
like I have no idea where to even start.
Yeah, it's like
So
riding a bike. It's like riding a bike. You come back to it, you're gonna know where to look, what resources to use, especially if you're looking at specific cards. Once you're in the hobby long enough, you see like how Pokemon releases new sets. You'll always know for the most part how it releases, unless they do something completely different. You're gonna have like 4 to 5 sets every year, every main sets, two holiday sets if I remember correctly. And then the
Yeah.
second
Oh
block
my
is
God.
always hotter. Like the second block of each gen is always going to be like we might see shiny
It's
Altars
exciting because
in a year from
the
now.
other than Obsidian, this is a good first show of what we've got in Scarlet Violet. So if they can top that, and then 151, they have to top 151, which I'm not sure how they're planning on doing that.
Johto's in my name. If I saw a Johto set, I'd go crazy. Like there's so many Pokemon, and it's such a small generation too. Like you got like every single legendary in Johto is like S tier. Like you got Lugia, you got Ho-Oh, you got Celebi, you got the dogs. Like you have like some of the you got Tyranitar. Like it's there's a that would be a cool generation to see. Even Gen 3 would be awesome. Like if we saw like
Yeah,
an
I
art
gotta say
art
it would be no, dude. Well, yes,
imagine like a
Gen three.
art yeah.
The Blaziken, Swampert, Sceptile to see some alts with them. Even though we got our Blaziken with Chilling Reign, which I'm very happy about that, but I still want to see an alt art where Blaziken isn't the VMAX large figure, like just a really nice artwork with Blaziken. But to that point for the Johto gens, the Feraligatr, seeing that Typhlosion, like, ooh man,
Yeah.
seeing those in alt art.
Yep.
But I would rather they do that in the next era. I
Sure.
honestly don't want to see stuff that I really really love depicted in the Terra forms with Terra full art because I think they're so bad. I'm like, please spare us with this Terra crap.
You know,
Like,
it's funny. People gave Megas so much shit back in the day, but if we look at it, it's probably one of the best gimmicks Pokemon's ever had. Um, like Terra, like it's not my favorite. That's for damn sure. I think they could have
I got
approached
used to the
Terraform.
VMAX clouds. Okay, I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
used to that.
yeah.
No, I
That
got
was
used to the
fine.
megas, but the Terra was just like the last straw. And the VMAX is that was pretty like subtle. The little red clouds are pretty
Yeah,
subtle,
yeah,
but even that pissed me off. Like,
yeah. Bring back Mega Evolutions or something like that. I'd be okay with it. There's some cool Mega Evolutions. Heracross Mega, even Swampert's Mega. Like there's some cool ones. If you think about it overall, I don't know. Yeah, Teros would have been cool without. Yeah, I think adding the crown kind of took away from. Yeah, it feels very childlike. And I know we're talking about Pokemon, which is for Pokemon. And if
right?
you
We,
if you
we
think
want
about it,
it.
yeah,
It could the kids might love it, and we're over here like, no, this is how it should be because it should cater to grown
yeah,
men, and that's just not what Pokemon is all about.
yeah, it's very true. Yeah, we're talking about a kid's game, and it's funny because like I tried playing Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, and I'm like, man, these games are way too easy. Like, go back and play like Heart Gold Soul Silver or even Emerald. Like those games are way more difficult. Like even Blue and Red, like some of the little puzzles you'd have to do, like the Ice Cave, and I think it was in Silver and Gold, wasn't easy compared to what it is now. It's just like you got to ride your bike and push a ball into a net for the first gym. Like what what
Which,
what was that?
which, which for me personally, playing Scarlet and Violet, I felt was pretty fun because I felt like everything was pretty self-explanatory. Like it was like, wow, this is like I don't need to worry about where I need to go, and I like that it's just this expansive universe where like if you manage to get in an area where you're not supposed to be, you will figure that out very quickly by the
Yeah.
Pokemon that are way outstatting you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I
Like
got wrecked once
kind
being
of
in the
figure
wrong
out where you
place.
can go and where you can't go. And I love like I don't care about the Terra, but having playing a real world game where Gyarados is following me around and Pikachu is following me around and they're in a pretty good animated version. I mean, yeah, it could have been a little bit better. People gave it a lot of shit, but I think Scarlet Violet is actually a pretty good game. I have yet to finish it, but I love running around with the life size Pokemon, and then being able to
Oh,
throw
absolutely.
that on the TV through the Switch. That's
Oh,
revolutionary.
yeah. I mean,
I
I'm sure.
I wish I played more. I really do.
Yeah, no,
Um,
me too. Like, I don't have the time, but at the same time, like we as kids, we dreamed of like Pokemon games being like this, right? Like where they're like we were probably playing GameCube games. Like, what if Pokemon was on our GameCube? Like, imagine, like, yeah, it's come a long way. I think there's a lot of improvements that can be done. I think Game Freak's doing their best, but at the same time, like they're spinning the games out too fast. That's what it is. If you really want to create a great product, you have to give it time. And I'm sure with the pressure of Nintendo and the Pokemon Company to push out these games as fast as these sets are coming out for the TCG, you got to keep up. But yeah, I know that it's had its has its flaws, but overall, it's pretty cool to see how far they've taken Pokemon. Will we see Gen 20? Who knows? Who knows?
I think we are definitely due to see lots of sets in the future. I don't think Pokemon's going anywhere. I feel like there's
No.
way too much that's flowed into it the past couple years.
Yeah,
Um, and if it doesn't go anywhere, then it's been a
it
wild
is what it
ride.
is.
It's been fun. It's been fun. It's just
Hey,
another
you know
thing in
what?
my life that I spent way too much money on. So
I won't even think about it like that. If Pokemon goes down a really dark place, I'll be happy to buy my Shinings and Gold Stars for $20 a piece again. Like, by all
yeah,
means,
I think
like,
a lot of people are gonna look at it like, okay, this might not be a hit now, but I can get these cards at such a good deal. I
yeah.
don't think we're ever gonna get back to that point.
I don't think so either. Not, yeah, maybe not in our lifetimes. Maybe someone else will. Who knows? I don't know. But
That's true.
the idea of, yeah, the idea of having cards at that value again or that price point would be, it sounds great, but then I know that there's like like people tend to say like if cards weren't worth anything, no one would be collecting. And I don't know. I think it would definitely push a lot of people out, but for the people that just care about having the cards, no matter what the value, they're gonna still continue to collect. Like it's not gonna really stop people. It's gonna create a lot of opportunity for people, if anything. I would still
Totally.
collect. I didn't even think about the value in 2010 and 2012. I wasn't even paying attention to first edition. I wish I was. I wish I was paying attention to sealed. I could probably buy. I know my friend Manny was buying base set packs for like $40 a piece, hoping to pull a Charizard in 2010. I'm like, I should have been
Did
buying
he?
sealed. No, unfortunately, he never did.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. I know. Funny enough, when I was me and my stepbrother, when we were like I was probably 9 or 10 years old, so it was like 1999. He was a little younger than me, but his favorite Pokemon was Charizard. Mine was Blastoise. I think my dad and my stepmom took us to go pick a pack up each, and he opened his pack first, pulled the Charizard. I was like, I was excited, but I was so jealous. I go to open my pack and I pull a last, and I was just wrecked, dude. I was like, I was wrecked. Um, but it's so cool. So that's why I like having this Blastoise is redemption round. So I sent it to my brother the day I got it too, and he was just like, this is for that Charizard that you pulled. So haha, I think I won. But yeah, it's just like I yeah, Pokemon super nostalgic to me. Like I remember when I was like my parents couldn't afford that kind of stuff often, but I
Man,
remember I think when Jungle
pulling
came
the
out.
Charizard, pulling the Charizard, just like base set unlimited.
Yeah, yeah,
What I would give to have that experience even
yeah.
now, let alone as a
No,
kid.
I know. Yeah, no, definitely. Like I remember there was a jungle pack or two in my Christmas stocking one year, and I was just like over the moon. Like seeing like yeah, the introduction to Pokemon as a kid is like something else. So I know
Those
how
packs just feel different, man. They feel like
yeah,
money.
yeah, they
Like
do.
you can feel the quality in those older packs.
100%. I want to show you one last thing.
When this channel gets big, the 17 base set packs I have, I'm gonna weigh them out again, and we're probably gonna open the heavies. Like I'm waiting for the
Oh,
channel to
hell
get to a
yeah,
point
dude.
where it's like actually
Bring
worth it.
bring a pack to Collecticon and do something live in person. But this is another Grail piece in my collection. I actually got this in I think late 2020 or early 2020. I think it was 2021. But I traded a bunch of modern for it. Um, it's a base set shadowless pack. It's potential shadowless. By I'll never know. It's like 50-50 shot because it's the short crimp, not the long crimp.
Beautiful.
For those that don't know, there's four different. variants of base set. So you have base set first edition, you have base set shadowless, then you have unlimited, and then you have fourth print, which is the UK. And with guaranteed shadowless, it would say 11 tradable game cards on the bottom here, and it would have those 3 cards on the right. But it would be a long crimp. So this crimp would be like almost twice the size if it was guaranteed shadowless. And if it was first edition, obviously you would have the first edition stamp on this side. There's also Black Triangle Air packs, which you've seen
I
Rusty.
I believe
Yeah.
I believe you have a shadowless pack there, bud.
We'll never know. We'll never know. I'm never gonna open it. But what I love about this piece
It
is,
would still be valuable just as an error shadowless unlimited pack, but I do believe that
well,
that's
yeah.
a shadow
So
pack.
this was during the interim between Shadowless and Unlimited, so they were still using the
Maybe
packaging.
reuse packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this blister is this JC Penney's price tag. $2.99.
$3.
Yeah,
$2.99.
$2.99, baby. Yeah, so I
Man.
got this from a card shop here in the Bay Area. I think he still has 2 more. One of my favorite pieces, but I got to trade a bunch of stuff to make this happen. Mostly modern, because honestly, I'd rather let go of modern for things like this any day of the week. I know everyone has their, whatever they collect, but for me, this was way more important than from a nostalgic purpose. Like, really cool to have.
Yeah,
But yeah,
after going after Grail cards, I want to say sealed vintage boxes would be the next pinnacle, but
do
that's
you have anything?
financial
What
pressure.
I know you've been asked this, but like, what's back there that has like sealed product other than the theme decks? You have base set packs back there, right?
I do. I
Yeah.
have I have a fossil first edition pack left. I have a jungle pack or maybe 2 jungle packs left. I've got 17 base packs in my base set box. Um, Obviously, I have a ton of the theme decks, and I have a ton of modern sealed stuff.
Yeah.
But I went kind of crazy buying those base set packs, and after being drained to try and make that happen, I pretty much just said, you know what, this is not going to happen how I wanted. My original plan was to just buy all the boxes for the displays to immediately have that gratification of the displays, and then to fill them each individually with packs that I just found and sourced from different sellers. And then I would stack each box with those sealed packs. Problem with that is that you've got weighed stuff, unweighed stuff. You've got guys, hush, hush. Oh, there. That's time.
I wish we had
Um,
dogs, man.
uh, Tampering and stuff like that. The first base set packs I bought ever, it was really cold out, and when I went to open them on the channel, like maybe my 30th video, Callie, stop! It's just the one puppy in the group. We have 3 Maltese, and the one puppy is just
Just a
nonstop.
yapper, huh?
Yeah, and like they'll even yap at me now. Like there's no rhyme or reason. Um, but I got these 3 packs and I got one of each art. I was so excited. Um, Not just to get them and have them, but I actually wanted to open them and see if there was anything inside. It was just like me being a gullible, naive collector getting back into vintage, and so I go to open it up, and I'm on camera, so I felt pretty good about getting a refund, getting my money back, and having kind of a witness type deal. And so I'm on camera, and I take the pack out of the team bag that it's in, and immediately as I show everybody the pack and have my hands around it, the top seal just pops. It just pops open, and there's residue inside of it, and I'm like, oh. My water almost went everywhere. I'm like, guys, you guys can see this. This has been resealed. I just got scammed, and
Oh,
It was $1,000 for those 3 packs, and all 3 of them just popped open. So
Ah,
so, if that
yeah,
person had used like a food vacuum sealer, they could have actually heat sealed because those are heat sealed, and it would have been fine. It wouldn't have popped back open. But because they were an idiot and they used a glue
you
and
would
it
have
was
never
cold
known.
out, it
Ah,
separated as soon as it got on that UPS truck or whatever. And I got very lucky because that was the first time that I had bought packs, and that was the last time that I bought packs. And I looked at those long and hard and took photos of them to kind of remind myself when the seals are like beaten up and don't look
yeah,
crispy and look worn, like and
and the
have like
flaps have to be
lines on
down.
them,
The
shit.
flaps have to be
Yeah.
down. That's a big one.
So when I ordered from an old couple, the 17 packs that I bought from an old couple, and the reason I auctioned on every one of them like top dollar was because I had such a bad experience getting a deal on the other packs,
Yeah.
and I wanted to buy the box from them. I 1,000 for the base set box, and they were like, "No, I think it's worth a lot more than that." And I was like, "Feel free to just break the box open and do the packs, because that way I could still spend 7, 8 grand, but get as much as I could out of that." I really regret that now. I really wish I would have just put that towards a full box for like 13 maybe or 12 if
Yeah,
I
you
could get
could.
a deal.
I was gonna say you could probably get a booster box for about 12, maybe even 11.5, 11. Who knows? Like if it's
If
cashed
there's
in
something
person.
like that at Collecticon and it's verified by a good vendor, I may do something like that over the Rayquaza because I would much rather have that sealed box in my collection than have the Rayquaza. That's just
I
me personally.
Yeah, no, I'm
Um,
with you. That's actually one of my collection goals is just to own an unlimited base set for the nostalgic purposes. It's just hard. Like someone just mentioned, there's scammers everywhere, and that's actually why I collect blisters. You just have to be very careful about blisters because of humidity
yeah, you
reasons.
do.
So that's why a lot of them are sealed, and I keep the silica. But I have an. It's gonna be maybe hard to see through the plastic, but I have an art set of jungle. Um, got all 3 arts. These are like really minty. All of these have been purchased locally through local shops. And then I have an art set of fossil, which I just, man, from a design perspective, like I love
Those are so
how to,
nice.
yeah, I
And the
absolutely love
fact that
it.
they're kind of like already like slabbed in their original,
Yeah.
manufactured blister, I really like that about those, that they're protected.
If anyone ever wants to reach out, I can share some information on where I got these acrylic. They're actually really cool. I'll take it apart, but it actually says Pokemon on the bottom. So if anyone wants to know where I got these, I'm happy to share that. They're on Instagram and they do great work. They're magnetic on both sides, so you can just pop it out. It just pops
Dude,
out
that's
like
another
this.
crazy thing in the hobby. The amount of like acrylic types of like magnetic cases and like holders and like the amount of
That all
money all the
surfaced in
collectors are
2020.
spending
Yeah.
on like briefcases, the Pelican cases, the Game Boy cases, the theme deck cases, the pack cases. It's so wild.
Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles always says people love their plastic, and it's very clear nowadays in the Pokemon hobby. He's referring to PSA slabs and graded cards, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Pelican cases. It's just like how many? I think my Blastoise is protected on like 4 or 5 different layers of plastic at this point. It's like ready for World War III, to be honest. Like seriously, no joke. Like
I need to get that for my Charizard. A little red guard, a big acrylic kit. Like it would just
yeah,
feel better in your hand. When you've got a small slab in your hand, it's hard to feel that value, but you add some weight to that. I really
yep.
feel like the added weight really helps be like, wow, this is like
It does.
really a
It feels, yeah.
valuable.
The weight is the thing. And actually, I don't like I. You really should check out that interview PK did with Nat because he talks about what they're doing with PSA slabs. So they've already pushed it out on the sports side, but they're introducing a heavier plastic PSA slab, and there's a few more security features that the previous slabs didn't have. So they're gonna be harder to crack. They're gonna be heavier, and there's some probably some security features you'd have to like actually ask about to find out about, like through PSA. But just nice to know that they're doing a better quality slab, because personally, even though I collect PSA slabs, they are hands down some of the cheapest slabs. CGC has, I would say, the best like the best plastic, like from a like protective standpoint, but also as like from like a visibility
From a
standpoint. Because
design, from an aesthetic standpoint, I think CGC has the best feeling slabs. But BGS, Beckett has, I feel like, the best thickness, and that's what I love so much about Beckett.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the only thing I don't like about Beckett is the visual aspects, because they put their cards in a sleeve, and I know that's a debate on its own whether people want their cards in a sleeve before it goes into the slab. PSA is
You're
getting a little
just
bit.
you're
Go ahead.
never gonna be able to see that card fully if it's in the slab. No matter what you
Yeah,
do, there's gonna be glare on it. It's the hollow is not gonna shine as bright. That's
yeah.
the biggest issue with that. Um,
And hey,
that
I love Chaos's binder. Like seeing the binder collection going through Shinings and the Gold Stars, like that's a sick binder, man. I get wanting to keep it. Personally, I would grade it all, but I totally I get why he has it the way he
Dude,
does.
I kind of like the binder setup too. It's simple, and he doesn't need to spend a bunch more money
Yeah,
validating the value there. And they
yeah,
all
and
look so good together too.
yeah, it's an epic
But
collection
you
for
can
sure.
drop your slabs, and they might get some edge wear, but the grade is
Yeah,
the grade, and then it's still protected.
that's
If
the
you if
funniest
your
thing.
binder falls over and like bends a certain way, you've got like $20,000 of cards that are about to get bent like on one
Yeah.
sheet alone. Like,
Rest in peace
dude,
to
that
that
binder
binder
is like
page.
such a liability. It's such a liability.
I know.
And like the
He's
fact
gotta
that
he's
someone
gotta put his binder in some plastic. That's what he
yeah,
got.
right. He puts his binder. He can put the sheets into large acrylic slabs.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
actually that actually would be sick if you had large acrylic magnetic slabs for like binder sheets, and then place that on a wall.
yeah.
Um, but
Honestly, yeah. There's.
I
I'd
just
love to display more cards, but I just like I'm trying to protect this stuff long term, and Pelican cases are the way to go for anyone that collects slabs or collects. I don't even use top loaders anymore. Like I used to be a diehard only top loader collector for all my like raw singles before I started collecting slabs. But then I went all to card savers. Card savers save so much space. They're ready to go for PSA if you're grading cards, and I think the biggest thing is just space.
I will say that these look very aesthetic. When you have a card in these, the size of them is slightly bigger than the top loader. Like it's the
Yeah,
whole thing with you putting all this stuff around your Blastoise. It makes it bigger. It makes it more aesthetically pleasing to hold. Um,
that's how I feel
but
about
I
card
definitely
savers
feel
now.
safer with the top loaders.
Yeah. Um, So I'll show you, but I use the GSP sleeves. I don't use regular penny sleeves anymore. And I'll show you what those are. These are
Are the
my.
GSP sleeves the one that has like a sleeve insert that covers the top of the card?
It's the no, gosh, I hate that. These are the tab sleeves. So this is how I keep all of my cards now. So you'll see that it's just a normal penny sleeve, but it has this tab on the back. So funny enough, for anyone submitting to
Yeah,
PSA
I like
now,
those.
you used to be able to submit to PSA with sticky tabs on the back of your cards, um, so that they can pull the cards out when they grade. But they don't actually pull the cards out. They actually cut the side of your card saver. So they're just recycling so much plastic. At least I hope they are. They cut through the side, so it doesn't matter if you have this tab or not. The second thing
That just
is,
makes it easier for them to get in there.
yeah, the second thing
Essentially.
is they don't want you to put sticky tabs on the back of your card now, because they're actually, when you submit to PSA now, they're scanning your card, and you'll get visual scans of your cards before they go into grading. So I think that happens after research and ID. There's like 7 steps to grading. You have order received, which will usually sit there for like 2 to 3 weeks before it even moves into research and ID. And in research and ID, you will they'll make sure that your submission is aligned with how the order you submitted. So, like Chaos, if you ever want to reach out to me about how to grade your cards and like how to ship and all of that, like feel free to message me on Instagram or anything, or anyone else for that matter. But they scan your cards. They'll send you those scans so that you have like it's mainly for insurance purposes because like hey you damaged my card. Well, we have no proof of that. This is how your card showed up at our facility. um, but there's a few stages. You have grading. You'll go into grading, and then after grading, you'll go into, I believe, assembly, and then you'll do QA1 and QA2. So QA1 and QA2, I believe they're quality checking the slab itself to make sure that it is uh, that it's sealed. I think they do a sonic weld or something like that. And then in QA2, after QA2 is when you can expect to see the email. And when I say the email, is the email that you've been upcharged. So like if X card is above the declared value you submitted it at, like let's say for instance, I've submitted another VMAX Umbreon Altart from Evolving Skies. I submitted it at the 499 declared value, which is a $19 per card. When that comes back at 10, they're going to be like, hey, the declared value is beyond the 499 declared value. We have to upcharge you. And that upcharge, I believe, is $75. So it goes from being a $19 card submission to a $75 card submission. But that's
I
fine
didn't
by
know
me.
that.
Yeah. So like there's also the $15 submission, which is you can only have if you have the membership because that's the bulk price. But the declared value is only 200. So typically you would only be submitting like trainer galleries, cards that are going to PSA 10 and that are not going to be over 200. There is a caveat to that where I have submitted cards that have been priced above the 499 declared value and I didn't get upcharged, but it's not by much. Like let's say a card's like $600, there's a shot that they won't even upcharge you. It's happened to me. Yeah, it's happened to me twice with two specific cards, but yeah, I love card savers now. Like if I try to hold this many top loaders, there's no way in hell I'm holding this with one hand. The amount of space it takes up in my Pelican is a fraction. And I like how these look aesthetically. Once you do it, also people are a little hesitant to
Well,
use
they're
card savers.
floating in there. They're
Yeah,
floating. They're floating in the
yeah.
middle. It's a very aesthetic thing.
Exactly. But one thing I think people are afraid of using card savers because they're not comfortable with putting them in the card savers. It takes a little practice to actually use these. Like
You
your
know, it
fingers are,
does.
yeah, and there's different ways of doing it. I
Like,
know a lot of, yeah,
because it's because of this. We're terrified that one wrong move.
yeah, you'll get used to it. I promise you. If you're afraid of using card savers for that reason, trust me, watch. Yeah, I mean, let me just show you how you would do it. Basically, gosh, I'm gonna do a YouTube tutorial right now, guys, live on stream. So, depending on if you're a left or right-handed, you hold it like this, right, with your ring finger and your thumb, and then you take your index and you open it up, right? So you can open it, but just by like literally opening it, like it's open with one hand, right? Like this is how you would do it, and then you would slide that card in, but once you slide it in, you just continue to push it down and then you can close it. And like a top loader, you can just pat it down. It's perfect. I know people that do another way where they actually just slide the card in and then they push it from the back in without opening it. And you can just do it. I get clammy hands, so I have to like open it and then push it in and then I just pat it down. It's as easy as that. Um, Practice chaos will do it. I like literally you can find YouTube videos on how to place your cards in card savers. There's multiple ways of doing it, but you get used to it after a few times. And I won't go back to top loaders. They like I recycle all of my top loaders at this point. I give them to local shops. I'll give them to kids like for them to protect their
I
cards. But
keep all
like
mine. I got mine to
yeah,
ship stuff out.
see if
I
you're
know
gonna ship
I'm never gonna be short of a top loader ever again.
Yeah, if you're shipping top loaders, I'd imagine you're putting painter's tape over the top or putting them in a
Team bag.
seal.
Team
Yeah,
bag.
team bag. Yeah,
Forget
team bag.
forget the tape. Whenever I get cards with the tape over the top, it just pisses me off, honestly.
Yeah, a painter's tape is fine. I think as long as you're not like trying to stick a knife in there to cut it open, like don't be doing that because you will definitely risk cutting into your card. That's why honestly, card savers, two pieces of cardboard in a bubble mailer, you're fine. You're 100% fine. It's just people think that because it's a harder plastic, it's more safe. But I think they're about the same, really.
Um,
Um,
does anybody have any questions? We're gonna be here for 5 to 10 more minutes, just for you guys to ask any questions to me, Jake, and then if there's anything, Jake, on your mind that you've been wanting to talk about, get off your chest. Now's the time.
put these back.
And usually it takes a second for people to even think of something or get a message out there. So,
Here's that gold star Vaporeon.
ooh,
It's nice, man. I absolutely love this thing.
crispy. That's crispy.
Yeah. It's a 7 cert too. That's another thing. I'm probably gonna just collect old newer certs if I can. If I can't find certain cards in newer certs, I'll try to find the most modern cert just so that I know that it's potentially a better grade. I would still tape the I would still do the tape. I don't like my card being able to move up and out of the top loader inside. Well, no, the team bag is usually folded over, right? Like I imagine you do team bags and then we
So
fold them over.
when
Yeah,
I do
far.
a team bag, say let's say this clear sleeve is my team bag. I make sure that that thing is
Yeah,
flush.
it's flush. It's not
That way
moving.
that it's not going anywhere. As soon as you take it out, you can pull that card right out.
Yeah. Yeah, chaos. If you decide to grade, man, I'm really curious because I was talking about how I got that Blastoise. I sold a near complete Shining Unlimited set that a lot of them I bought back in 2010, few that I bought in 2020, 2021. But I sold all of the Shinings and Unlimited except for Charizard for 2.5K. Um, and I did it like on the spot. Then I paid the rest cash because I was comfortable paying the difference. He originally had the Blastoise at 3.8 or 3.9, and we were to work out a price at 3.2. So I paid the rest out of pocket. I was fine with that. But the guy that bought them for me, he has his own business out in LA. He's a Pokemon store, and I believe he's solely a Pokemon store in LA. And he sold them to someone online, and that guy asked him to grade the cards. So I was lucky enough to know what those cards came back. Surprising, I'm really glad that I sold them at that price that I did because some of them did well, and there was no tens. There was no tens at all. So let's get that out of the way. But let me actually pull it up. I can tell you each grade um, for those cards, and there were some that I was really surprised by, and then some where I was just like, what happened? I know my unlimited shining Steelix got a 5, and I thought there is no way in hell because I thought that was one of the strongest ones. But my Gyarados got a 9, and I was devastated by that. Um, and then Magikarp got.
You were devastated that you got a 9?
It wasn't my 9. I didn't. It wasn't my. I had already sold the cards. They were raw, by the way. The cards that I sold for 2.5, they were raw. So I sold a near complete shining set, raw, unlimited, to someone for 2.5. Someone bought those cards from that person later on and asked them to grade them for him. And they graded. And let me find it because it's Gary. Where is it?
And then we've got a question here.
Yeah.
What modern cards are good for grading right now or flipping?
Uh,
That's a big one. That's a
that's a
vague one,
big
but we can
one.
still try and answer that as best as
I
possible.
will. I will. I don't want to just like give out all my plays, but let's just say species promos, and Japanese.
Oh
Look,
God.
look in those places.
Oh
Um,
God.
collect
Okay.
species.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one out there because I think it's a staple. Any of the good modern alt arts. Blaziken, the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars, the Blaziken from Chilling Reign, the Lugia from Silver Tempest. Each set kind of had that one card that was epic. The Mew from Fusion Strike, Gengar,
Celebi. I
VMAX
think there's opportunity
all
in
card.
Celebi. I'll give you that. That card has been selling far below.
Celebi has always been undervalued, bro. I don't think Celebi is ever going to be a card that has good growth potential just because there's not a single Celebi out there that's like really doing inherently well.
Yeah.
The Gold Star Celebi is on the cheaper side. The Shining Celebi is on the cheaper side. And it is underrated. That's the only alt art that I pulled actually was that Celebi, and I was very happy to pull that card. But I was kind of depressed the fact that the only alt art I pulled was like the cheapest one. But the Silver Tempest Lugia I think is a lot better than it's getting credit for. Honestly, I don't. The Rayquaza from Evolving Skies I wanted for the longest time, but after having it in person, I don't think it's that great.
Which one? The
The
Rayquaza?
Umbreon from Evolving Skies, I think, is really good. I think you could literally just buy copies on copies of that card, and you would have a treasure trove down the road. At $500 raw, if you can find that card, or 600 raw, even in a 9 or a 10, all day down the road, you're gonna have a good investment return on that card. There's so
Yeah.
many of them. Everybody
But
wants it. It's the card that defined the pandemic was the Moonbreon.
yeah, I think Umbreon is always gonna do well. But I will give a little tip that I think that, or I won't even give a tip because I don't know if it's gonna work out. But I think there's definitely some opportunity with the GameStop promo that's coming up, and that's all I'm gonna say. GameStop promo coming out very, very soon.
What's this?
Very soon. They'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well you gotta give me the deets. If you
um,
don't feel like giving the deets out, just Discord message me the deets.
someone's gonna say it in the chat because it's probably like the only GameStop promo coming out this month. Just yeah, spend $15, get the promo. Spend $15, get the promo again. Yeah,
Really? Somebody's
yeah,
already on it.
yeah. Chaos knows. I figured he'd know.
Espeon
Definitely.
and Umbreon.
Yeah. All right. So Umbreon's Best Buy or Umbreon's GameStop. Espeon's Best Buy.
Why?
Um,
Why are they from two different places? That's weird.
yeah, yeah. Espeon's the Best Buy exclusive. Um, I don't know what the Best Buy stamp's gonna look like. Is there a Best Buy stamp? I'd imagine it's just the yellow tag, which is totally ugly. The GameStop stamp is terrible. I think that's like one of my least favorite. But the Umbreon artwork is pretty nice. I think it's pretty cool. Um,
So to get your hands on that,
you have to
I
spend
guess you
fifteen
just have to
dollars.
go.
Yeah, in person. Um, on Pokemon, or I think collectible, or I don't know what you have to spend $15 on. I imagine it has to be in Obsidian Flames or something like that. Um,
I wonder if that'll be on release day. So on the tenth, if we'll be able to, if I can go to a Best Buy and a GameStop and try
I
and
think it's
get
the
those.
11th. I think it's the 11th. If Chaos can
Okay.
correct me, I don't know. I don't know who else is in the chat, but yeah, I think it might be the 11th. But I'd imagine you could probably buy those in bulk at some point from somebody. But yeah, I think there's opportunity there. If you can be first to market, but if you try to grade those with PSA, good luck. I'd probably, to be fastest to market, you probably got to go with CGC. CGC has had. That's why people have been grading with CGC. If you notice, like a lot of the what are they, the Yuga Nagabas, the EVs, um, a lot of those are coming back as CGC on eBay. Like most of what you're seeing, like maybe they're starting to like roll out now, like a little bit, trickle in on eBay, but a lot of them have been CGC because they're $12 a card to grade. They have like way faster turnaround. It's like I said, you got to be first to market on a lot of these things. It's like it's the race to the bottom, as PK always says.
Mm.
Yeah. What are you
Okay.
expecting? I wanted to ask you, like, what are you expecting from Collecticon? Like, what's your ideal experience?
Well, I know me being an impulsive buyer, it's going to be hard because I'm going to be around a lot of premium product. Um, I'm expecting it to be a feeding frenzy. I'm expecting sellers to be a little bit reluctant on the first day to let anything go and make any real deals. And then on the second day, be more open minded to letting things go. I think it's going to be really hard for me to walk away with nothing on the first day. So I'm just praying that I have good judgment, and if I am going to trade in a Charizard and put cash on top, and maybe trade other stuff, I just hope that it's something that I'm truly going to appreciate for a long time. Because there's nothing really that I'm going to be looking for there, but I know that it's going to be all in my face. There's going to be all kinds of Charizards graded in high grades. I'm going to have to kind of push that stuff aside. Um, because it's funny, I think if I wasn't thinking about the grails like I am now, I would just be excited to go to Collecticon to just like try and make deals on various Charizard cards because that's
Yeah,
like my one of my favorite Pokemon. So
yeah.
whereas now I'm actually thinking about the Crystal Lugia, the Crystal Charizard, the Skyridge, the Crystal Charizard, and then the Gold Star Pikachu and Rayquaza, and it's also the fact that I have the Crobat and the Nidoking on the way. That is huge because that takes those out of the equation entirely. I don't have to worry about going after those. I was going to go after those at some point, regardless. So those are taken off. One part of me really wanted to cross off most of the cards I wanted so that I could just enjoy the show. But it's unfortunate because the show is going to be about me finding those cards. It really will be. And I'm hoping if I meet up with people there and we have kind of a team, we might be able to divide and conquer. And I can say, hey, y'all enjoy the show, but if you find a card, this is my number. If I run into anybody that knows me, just here's my number. If you find this card at the show, please text me and let me know because that's what I'm spending the money on. I'm not necessarily going for Collecticon. I'm going because I am desperate to find these cards and not have to pay a massive premium plus taxes. The big thing with these Grail cards is on eBay you're paying a premium on eBay and then you're paying the taxes on top of that. And for anything over $1,000, that's a lot of money extra to pay for no more card, right? If the card is $1,000 and I'm paying another tenth of that just to get the card, I'm wasting money, and I've done that plenty so far. So it's time for me to go to this thing to try and get a really good deal, and I have to get a good deal. If I don't find the cards I'm looking for, it's gonna hurt. The event is gonna hurt me more than help
I'm
me
telling
because
you,
I'm gonna
I'm telling you,
sacrifice.
even if you don't find the cards that you want, you're gonna have a great time. Just just go out and meet people. Like you're gonna meet so many like awesome people in this hobby. Like the new friends I've made at Collecticon and Card Party are like this. Like I already like been chatting with someone that I met at Card Party about making sure like, hey, you're gonna be at Long Beach too, and sure enough, he is. Like me and my buddy Coleman are gonna link up with them, go to the trade nights, go to the after party things with all the guys. Like you're gonna have a blast, man. Like it's super fun. It's kind of wild. Like the trade night at Collecticon was something else because it was actually funny enough hosted by Whatnot at a local bar nearby, and like seeing all of these like Pokemon people in this bar and seeing like some of the most expensive slabs thrown out on the bar tables like with drinks all over the place. I'm talking like PSA 10 like legendary collection hollows and like all over the place. Like people, I have videos. I'll have to send you, but like that was a crazy trade night, and then the trade night at Card Party in another bar at the hotel was just nuts. Like people's most like valuable PSA cards on a pool table just like scattered. Like we're talking like stacks of cash all over. Like that's another thing is like there's a lot of backpack vendors at these conventions where they're not necessarily vendors like with a table. They got a bunch of stuff in their backpack that they're looking to sell and trade. So if you don't find it at a vendor, sure enough, there might be someone that you meet that has the card that you want for sale. Um, just go to have
The
fun,
main
man.
the main thing is that Diana and Aspen, it would have actually been a little bit more beneficial if they were still in Portugal when this happened, because then I could focus all my energy and attention on the event. But they're going to be back for they're going to be back for approximately a month, so it'll be settled in. But I'm going to try and focus on family time once they get back. I'm not going to be making content the way I am right now, where I'm like
Got it.
every day I'm making something. That's because they're gone, and I have no guilt. I can just make content the way I see
Yeah, this is
fit.
your
But
opportunity to do your thing. Totally.
yeah, and she wants to tag along, and it's free admission for children, so I'm worried that she's not going to understand that I'm going to be fully absorbed in it, like for 2 days straight. And then on top of that, it's not just finding the deal on the card. It's the fact that I'm sacrificing the 2 busiest days at the bar. I'm going to give those days to somebody else, and someone else, on our team at the bar could make $500 on that Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, I am at Collecticon
Spending
spending
money.
money to get in there, spending all day there, not making any money that weekend, and then potentially spending a bunch of money. I'm just like in my head, I'm like, is it better for you to just work at the bar and then but I can't miss this event. As
Yeah.
being on year 3 of being in the hobby, consistently, this is the chance of a lifetime where it's in Charlotte, it's in my hometown. Like I really have no excuses. You can't call
Yeah.
yourself a Pokemon based content creator and then not go to like the biggest show that shows up in your city down the street.
Yeah.
So
If I don't know how many local events you've gone to or trade nights, but man, it's fun just hanging out with people. I have to say I'm definitely more of a social person, so I'll chat it up with strangers any day of the week, and if it's especially if it's about things that I'm passionate about, like Pokemon, or design, like stuff like that, like I'm super interested in, or photography, those type of things. I'll talk it up with whoever. It doesn't matter. And I think if you go to these, you'll have a better understanding of like the first one. Like I said, go as a spectator. Don't go in as like trying to create content or anything like that. Enjoy yourself because um, once you kind of get a feel for how these events go, you can kind of break up your time into whether you want to create content or like you want to make your rounds around the vendor tables or you know hang out with some of the guys, grab some lunch or something like that. Like it's it's very you'll be surprised at how cool this community actually is. And um yeah, just there was a guy Lalo that we met at card party, and he's a huge Houndoom collector, and he was doing like these like trade ups where he was like at one point he had, funny enough, like a PSA 1 or PSA 2 Latias or something like that, gold star, and just like slowly but surely moving up to, I think he got the Houndoom from Skyridge in a PSA 9. Just watching him like he would literally come up to us like every now and then be like, bro, look what I got now. And I'm like, damn, well, how the hell are you doing this? But like started with something for $100, $200, and slowly but surely worked his way up to something like that, which is why I told you to bring cards you don't think you'd ever even let go, because I never thought I'd find that Blastoise there. Like I didn't think that I was going to find that card in that way. I brought those shinings with my thought in my head saying I'm not going to sell these, I'm not going to trade these. But for that, I let it go because they're unlimited, they're raw. I can get nines. I can buy graded nines or sell or trade alt arts for graded nines at some point. Like I'm not worried about it. First edition is going to be a different story. If those were first edition, I'd be a little bit more hesitant, and I would have graded them myself regardless of the grade. But yeah, you might be surprised at like what you'd be willing to let go of the right cards in your face, and you'd be pretty disappointed in yourself if you didn't bring stuff to sell or trade when that card is in your face, and you could have got it if you brought those
I don't
cards.
know how I'm gonna carry all my crap that I would be willing to trade in.
You
I
need to
have
get
no
this
idea.
Pelican, dude.
I think I'm just gonna stack one briefcase.
This is the Pelican. Look at that OG Squirtle sticker. That's from like 1999.
There you go.
But this case is the way to go. It might be kind of dangerous, but I don't want to let things spill out. If you can see how I got it laid out. Nice to have. It rolls. You can hold it on 2 different handles. Like this
The
thing,
fact that it rolls,
yeah, just like this.
fact that it rolls is super clutch.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And it's pretty protected. The foam's pretty dense. Things aren't moving. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear your review of Collecticon after you get back.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm gonna have a lot of content to do after that. Like I feel like several videos later, as I think of things I experienced or things I want to talk about. Um, but I'm kind of glad that like my channel's still under the radar because I do want to go in there just as a citizen, just a pedestrian.
Yeah.
But not that anybody's gonna be following me around. But I don't think anybody's gonna even know who I am. But
Yeah.
but
The
yeah,
amount of
it'll be better that way.
the amount of people that followed PokeRev around was crazy. Like it was a sight to be seen. Like kids, like he couldn't go into the vendor hall and not be bombarded. Like there was no way in hell he was going to be able to just like look at stuff to buy and sell. Like people were all over the place. Just like
Oh,
yeah, he was a real celebrity there for sure.
and it'd be great to get to a point where you are known, and then people come to you with the deals, and you're
Yep.
really just like you're really bargaining. You're really bargaining on everything that's coming to you instead of begging. You're being able to be the negotiator, which I
Yeah.
feel like it's harder to do when you're just a random buyer.
Yep.
But wow, we got 3 hours in.
Oh my gosh.
3
Yeah. We should
hours
probably wrap
in.
this up. My girlfriend's probably like, "What the hell are you talking about for this long?"
Oh no, she's there.
No. She's not. She's chilling. But yeah, it was great talking with you, dude. I had a blast.
Oh,
Hopefully,
this one books.
yeah. Damn. Yeah. Time to get off.
She just stopped. So nope.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's in the books. We will probably have more of these down the road. I'm trying to make my rounds and get at least every person that wants to be on the channel that wants to have discussions about this stuff on once, and then I'll probably do another round of everybody again.
Yeah.
Or we'll do the same people more often. It just depends on who's available and who's willing to take that time out. I do want to thank you for taking the
Of
time
course.
out for the channel, for me. It's a big chunk of time, so I really, really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah,
If you
man.
could leave a comment on this live so that people can check out your channel. It doesn't matter if you're not making content as frequently. It's just about supporting other content creators.
Yeah. And if you see me at any of the Collecticons, like anybody, like come say hi. I'm down to talk it up. Um, be a blast. And yeah, anytime, dude. This was fun for sure.
All right, man. I am gonna get some sleep.
Oh
I'm gonna get
God,
some sleep.
it's
You're
almost
gonna get some
midnight.
sleep. And let me, I guess, keep me updated on how the job goes. If you'll be flying into Charlotte, if that happens, I would love to get a group of people and to be able to mob together through the Collecticon. That would be
Yeah, man.
sick.
Definitely.
I'm also kind of nervous, to be honest. I'm kind of anxiety ridden about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Don't be.
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Right on, dude. Well, I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you on Instagram or Discord or something. So yeah,
All
talk to you
right.
soon, man.
Deuce,
Later,
deuce,
bro.
everybody. Good night. Thank you guys for
Bye.
coming out on short notice.
Bye, y'all.